Bam.
Why don't we get an actual slate?
There's one in the other room.
Why aren't we using that?
Because we're ditto.
Way more professional than just clapping.
We're used to indie film.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know. I didn't work on a lot of indie films that people just clapped. Everybody wanted to feel special, like they were making a real movie, so they always got a slate.
I've been on too many where there's a slate like the first 3 days, and then the AC forgets the slate. You have to clap, or
And then you just start clapping.
Or the shoot's over, but the director still wants to record a few shots and everyone's gone, so you're on your own, so then you have to clap yourself. Give yourself the clap.
Been there.
You've gotten the clap before, haven't you?
No.
It's about sharing our personal experiences, right?
I have never had an STD.
Ever.
Iconoblast. We put the past on blast. Hit 'em with the truth, with things you never knew. Nobody is safe, no thing to place. Got Joel and Coop with history in your face. Iconoblast.
Yeah, let me see your other glasses.
You want to try these?
Yeah, let me see. I've tried these on before. These are really comfortable.
Yeah, they are. Sup? God damn, you look so fucking hot.
See why you do this. I feel fucking awesome right now.
You look awesome.
Hell yeah.
Those go good with the stash. The stash is growing. I like what you've done to it.
I actually
Got some flair.
So I just started combing my mustache differently because I used to just comb it straight down. It's long enough that I actually do have to comb it.
So now you're combing it. You're training it.
Well, I like the little curls on the end just started naturally happening because I've been
Because you're combing it.
combing it to the
Aw.
side instead of straight down.
You have curly hair.
Well, you were with me. We were walking back from the burger place next door, and I got a nice little compliment on my mustache. I've gotten 3 compliments on my shirt today. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it in the camera. I'll move the mic.
My pronouns are get and fucked. Those shirts are available on the Drinking Bros website.
Yeah, I wanted to be inclusive and let everybody know what my pronouns are. So my pronouns are get and fucked.
It's a nice shirt.
I like it. It fits surprisingly well. Like for something that I got it for
Something
free.
you just kind of like threw on. Like
Yeah, just something
casual
I
little, sexy
kinda
little throw
threw
on.
on for the hell of it today. That's probably enough of a cold open right there. I'm just going to start the fucking show. Oh, we have the
We got the
fucking
wide
wide
shot back.
back.
Yeah.
Back up to 3 cameras. We're fucking badasses now.
We're pros.
Welcome to the Iconoblast podcast. This is the show that takes a look behind the public facades of famous icons to show you why you can never take anything at face value. See, it's been so long since we've had 3 cameras that I completely forgot how to. Yeah, I'm just fucking everything up right now. It's okay. I'm just gonna roll with it. It's probably all these ranch waters that I'm drinking today.
Sucking them down, just like sucking.
They go
Big
down
pickle
so
juice.
goddamn smooth though. This is the prickly pear flavor, which is one of my favorites, but the spicy one.
Picked up, peck up prickly pears, and then take a glance at the fancy ants, and then maybe
try a few. You eat
The
ants?
necessities of life will fuck you.
The spicy ranch waters, some good
Yeah,
shit.
they're good. I can't have more than
Real
one though. One of the spices.
Oh, really?
Spice is a good starter. Like I like the spice, and then you got to switch to something you can just slam. You know.
Yeah,
Like
I start off
Straight
with
full gallon of whiskey.
yeah, that'll do the trick. I usually start off with a couple of the spicy ones, and then I know that Hot Bob from Softcore History, and Drinking Bros Sports, and does a lot of stuff around here. The spicy ranch water is one of his favorites, so I'm always like,
Try not to drink it.
I can't
Aw.
drink all the spicy ones because I know those are Hot Bob's favorites.
That shows that you really care about him. I'll let him know you do that.
No, he'll think I'm a fucking pussy.
He'll think you want to fuck him. He's married, Coop. You need to back off.
Have you seen those beautiful baby blue eyes that he's got?
Dude, he's got nice legs when he wears shorts, too.
I can see why Hot
They're
Bob's
pale,
got a
but they're-
kid.
they're good.
I can see why he's called Hot Bob.
Fuck yeah. So what are we talking about today?
I don't know, for some reason, doesn't it feel like, at least to me, it feels like we haven't done this in a while. I don't know why.
It's been a week. Well, we're late on the week. We normally record a few days ago.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it is. Because, yeah, just as soon as I sat down, I was like, wait, this feels like I haven't done this. And
It's been a pretty busy
Over a week.
fucking week, though.
yeah, it's
And
been real busy. Some new shit came up for me, and you're always
I was out of
running
town.
off on the weekends to go hang out at stadiums with
Michael Irving and Chuck Gladell and
all these professional
Patterson.
sports people that I have no idea who they are. But
You
apparently
heard of
they're-
Michael Irvin, though.
I mean, I've heard his name. I don't know.
What position he played?
What was he like?
He was a football player.
Was he an outfielder?
He played sports.
Shortstop.
Shortstop, yeah. Michael
Okay.
Irvin played shortstop in the Cowboys.
Shortstop's like a
Football
goalie,
stadium.
right?
Yeah, he played shortstop and left goalie.
So when you look at the wide shot of the show now, for the people that are watching on YouTube, which by the way, go to Drinkin' Bros History channel on YouTube if you want to watch us do the show in video format as opposed to just listening to it. You'll notice that at the very front of the table, we've got something that says Ghostbed.
Yeah, why is that there, Coop?
That's because Ghostbed is now a sponsor of the Iconoblast podcast.
Aw, shit.
I've been looking forward to this since we first started the
3
podcast.
years ago, yeah.
I've been looking forward to doing this. So we finally have a fucking
Finally
sponsor.
got a sponsor.
This is actually a pretty momentous occasion.
It is, yeah, so it is for us. So cheers.
Cheers.
To the first sponsor.
To Ghostbed. So before we get into the topic for the day, which we've got 6 pages today, so we've got a decent amount of shit to get through.
6 fucking pages?
Yeah, and that's only... So we're going into Caesar's second trip to Britain that he did in 54 BC.
Okay.
And yeah, just...
Because on the last one is when he got his ass kicked.
Yeah,
He
didn't
got
go
his
very
tail
well.
tucked between his legs and went home crying to his mommy
Well, I don't know about that. It snuck out in the middle of the night.
to fuck.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he went back to Cisalpine Gaul after that, and I'm sure that he had somebody waiting there for him.
You think he slept with a lot of people? Do you think it was every day?
Yeah. Well, maybe not every day.
But probably every day?
Whenever he wanted, then yeah.
And you think it was like I said, where she's just waiting with her butt out?
I don't know about. I mean, he seems like the
There's no
romantic type
artifacts?
to me. No, there's no surviving pussy butts from the Republican era of Rome.
Did you, in your research, find anything about how if he was like kind in the sack?
I've never read anything about how Caesar was in bed, but I would imagine that
Cleopatra never wrote anything in her diary?
I don't think so.
Because didn't they fuck?
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
they did a
love
lot.
that. Yeah, okay.
Which we're actually not going to be getting into the Caesar and Cleopatra tryst, I guess you could call it.
Not for a while.
For a little while now, because we're actually, after we finish up Caesar's campaign in Britain, we're going to be shifting a little bit because we have been advised to vary our content a little bit more so we don't get pigeonholed as just being a ancient Rome podcast, which there's plenty of ancient Rome podcasts out there.
Right.
We do a little bit of everything. So from now on, well, after the conclusion of Caesar in Britain, the story of Caesar is going to be shifting over to being bonus episodes. I need to catch up on the research, because after Caesar comes back from Britain, that's when it gets into the Gallic Revolt and the rise of Vercingetorix, and after that, it goes into Caesar receiving his triumphs and the Roman Civil War.
And you want to give it justice, right? So you want to take the time to do the research and...
Yeah, it's funny because all of the episodes that we've been doing so far have been building up to the shit that I really wanted to talk about, which was Caesar and Vercingetorix, and I wanted to talk specifically, which I mentioned this in... I think I mentioned this in the very first episode about Caesar, that originally this was just going to be like 1 to 2 episodes about 46 BC in particular, because I think 46 BC is one of the most interesting years in Roman history, if not human history. So all of this has been building up to 46 BC, which right now we're in 55 BC, or the last episode we left off in 55 BC. So we got a few more years to go before we get there. But we are going to be varying the content a little bit more. And
Can
actually,
we please do an episode on fucking Mayweather? I know it's not a historical figure or a noun, but
you've been talking about Mike Tyson. You've been talking about Mayweather.
we've got to do something.
In case anybody at home hasn't realized this yet, I'm a big fucking nerd. I don't know anything about sports.
That's why
any
I think
type
you'll
of
find,
sports.
I think it'll be, in the end, you'll be glad you did it because you'll learn a lot about something you don't know about.
I'll take any chance that I can get to talk shit about Floyd Mayweather. That guy's a fucking piece of shit.
Fuck yeah. See, we need to let's get dirty on an episode and just try to burn this fucker down.
So I already started to document for a Floyd Mayweather episode.
You did?
And yeah.
Okay, good.
I just started it the other day. I haven't gotten super deep into it because
for months to try to get
Jesus Christ, there's been
this.
a lot of writing to do lately, and it's
you have been doing a lot of writing.
Just recently, yesterday I think yesterday alone I wrote like 24 pages or something like that. Yeah, wasn't actually my initial intention when we moved out here to Texas to start doing the podcast professionally that all of a sudden I would be doing this much writing. But it's been fun.
You're a professional writer now, officially.
Yes, I've been.
You're getting paid to write and help with stories, and now there's some other shit you're doing now too on the side. We can't really talk about, but
yeah, the other stuff on the side. That's where the workload is going to get very, very heavy, and it's going to include some
working,
research
smoking,
assistance, which will be nice.
Right, jerk off, right, jerk off, sleep. I'll try to remind you to eat because you're going to be juiced up on Adderall.
Probably more like jacket, jerk off. Well, that's the same thing. Whole lot of masturbating and then a little bit of writing.
Yeah.
That's how most of my days go.
That's the way to do it.
You got to keep yourself loose somehow.
I've known you for 20 years. I have never caught you masturbating. Ever.
I'm very, very sneaky.
You have 3 arms? What's the deal? What is your technique? Do you do it like this? Like over the top? Like, have you ever tried it like that?
I do it like anybody else. Like. Oh. We'll get into it later.
Like, hopefully most people are just listening to the audio. Yeah. Was disgusting what you said, how you did it.
Wait, how is that disgusting?
Smell your fingers. Let me smell those.
It's been a good 3 days since I washed my hands. You probably don't want to. I mean,
no, I'm good.
Yeah, I warned you.
I'm good.
So today we have our very first ad read. And I'm sure
Sick. That's a perfect way to go into it.
And I'm sure that our sponsors are very happy about that lead-in that I did to that. But our sponsor for the show, like I said before, is now Ghostbed.
Ghostbed.
They've been sponsors of the... Yep, like I said before, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see the Ghostbed logo right at the front of the table.
Yep.
They've actually been a sponsor of Drinkin' Bros for 5 years, or maybe a little over 5 years now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I can say for sure that everybody here at the network fucking loves Ghostbed.
Yeah, I think everyone but us have a Ghostbed at this point.
So far, but it's not going to be very much longer because they actually have a really, really fucking good deal going on right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for beds. So... Ghostbeds have a 20-year warranty, and each mattress is made in the USA, which I know we have a lot of patriots in our fan base. Mm-hmm. So things made in the USA are important.
Ghostbed was born in the USA. Each bed is born in the USA.
Born in the USA. This isn't something that they're bringing in from overseas. This is coming straight from America.
That's sick.
Straight from the womb of our motherland.
Like G.I. Joe.
A little bit more Russian.
Right, G.I. Joe's.
Yeah, Ghostbed is the bed equivalent of G.I. Joe. Actually, no, I think G.I. Joe was pretty multinational. I mean, Snake Eyes for sure was not American.
Snake Eyes wasn't he bad first and then turned good? Like they captured him and G.I. Joe tortured him half to death and then forced him to become an American.
Wait, the G.I. Joes tortured somebody? Well, okay, if G.I. Joes are being accurate to American military history, then yeah, Snake Eyes probably got waterboarded a little bit.
He liked it.
Enhanced interrogation techniques, but you know what? If you're a goddamn terrorist, you fucking have it coming.
That's right.
So, Ghostbed, you can order one of these mattresses, try it out for 101 nights, and if you don't like it, you can just send it back.
101?
101 nights.
That's cool.
That's actually a really good deal.
Over 3 months.
And I would imagine that, they got to throw those mattresses away when they get them back, right?
Oh, I don't know. We should probably find out what they do with those.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm sure they do.
Maybe you can get them used or something.
Yeah, well, go...
they just flip them over and send them back out, probably.
That's what I do with my mattress. Ghostbed's a really reputable company. They, like I said, everything's made in the USA, and they take very, very good care of their customers. Each Ghostbed mattress has cooling technology in it, so if you're hot at night, that'll keep you nice and cool, which I actually have a tendency to sweat at night pretty often, but from my experience on the bed during the Friday Night Jack sesh, it stays nice and cool because Jack can really.
There's actually a
get your blood
Ghostbed
boiling.
in our studio
I'm,
right now.
I'm
It's right
looking
there.
at a Ghostbed right now, and it is by far one of the most comfortable mattresses that I've ever.
I take naps
I've
on
ever
it
laid
when I'm
down
at
on.
work.
Yeah, everybody seems to come in here to take naps. It's actually pretty cool.
Throughout the day, people
it's
take
so
little naps
nice
on the
having
bed.
one of these Ghostbed mattresses in the studio because anytime somebody gets tired, even during the freeze when we had that recent horrible fucking snowstorm,
We had people staying in here.
we had people
actually
sleeping
lived
on
here.
this Ghostbed mattress every single night here at the studio for like 2 weeks or something. Right now, Ghostbed is offering a flash sale, which is 40% off Ghost bundles where you get a mattress and the adjustable base, or you can get 30% off of your entire order by using the promo code DRINKINBROS.
Hell yeah.
Ghostbed has an adjustable base that's best in class for a very low price, and you save thousands compared to the others out there. The adjustable base has 15 massage modes, which that I didn't even know. I've never used the massage setting on the Ghostbed. Some asshole's honking his horn outside and just ruining this for us.
Rootin' and a tootin'. Yeah, you seen them. They lift up the bed for the jack sesh. The back half just comes up and shit.
Yeah. It's like, what are those
That's
other ones
pimp,
called? They're
dude.
the Tempur-Pedic or whatever that they used to sell to old people. Ghostbed
Yeah.
sells to everybody. Doesn't matter if you're old or young. Everybody can benefit
Dude, if
from one
I'm
of
on a
these.
bender and I have a fucking horrible hangover on like a Sunday morning and I had a Ghostbed, I could just push a button and it like lifts me up to like half sitting and my drink from the night before is still there. Don't even have to sit up to drink it, dude. You could just drink in bed. It's perfect.
So it's also got the 15 massage modes, a bunch of other features. Which now that I know that it has 15 massage modes, I'm actually gonna try that out after we're done recording the episode today because I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, me neither. We should have hit Jack with that without telling him.
Ooh,
Start
yeah.
turning on the
Well, no,
massages while he's on a rant.
he tries to get himself real worked up and angry when he's doing his Jack Sesh episodes.
Right.
So that would
At
probably
the peak
calm
of
him
a
down a
rant.
little bit too much.
Juice him up. He'll fall asleep. That'll be great.
Yeah. Well, he has said that he wants to do an episode where it's just him falling asleep in the bed and recording for however long he's sleeping. So right now you can buy a mattress for around $35 a month, $0 down with 0% financing, 0% APR. Go check it out at ghostbed.com/drinkinbros.
Did it?
Yeah.
That was our first ad read in the history of the Iconoblast
Our
podcast.
first ever ad read.
Yeah.
And if we did anything wrong, I'm sure we're going to be getting an angry email within the next
Yep.
week.
Yep. That's awesome. That's cool that our first ad is Ghostbed, just because it's been around, and I actually know it's a good bed because I've slept on it.
Yeah.
And the pillows, the pillows are really good too.
Yeah, they've got the cooling pillows, which are incredibly comfortable. They were offering a deal before where you could get a mattress and 2 free pillows. I overheard that they actually ran out of pillows because of that, so they're not offering the two free pillows anymore. But you can still either
They ran out of pillows, just same like the microchips for trucks.
Oh man, I heard about that.
Yeah.
There's like thousands of trucks sitting around
Without
because they don't
computer
have
chips.
the microchips.
The CPU.
Thanks, China.
Is it the same chip that's in the Terminator?
Neural net
neural net?
processor. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Great.
At least last time I checked.
Great. We're fucked.
Yeah, that's something that I wanted to avoid since the inception of this show is becoming a political show.
Yeah.
Because I've been seeing it more and more.
Well, dude, Skynet's not political.
Oh, Skynet is apolitical. They hate everybody.
Yeah.
Similar to Dan Holloway. Just hates everybody.
Yeah, we don't have to get political because Dan does all that work for us.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing on a daily basis since I started writing for APP and fake news is getting real deep into the news
politics.
cycle and the politics and stuff like that. And Jesus Christ, I don't know how anybody does that for the long term without just losing their fucking minds.
Yeah.
It's so fucking infuriating. And everything is really fucking scary right now. But is that a result of the way the media cycle works? Or who fucking knows?
Yeah, that should be a rule on our shows that we never go political.
I for sure want that to be a rule that holds fast on our show in perpetuity, that this is the show that you can come to no matter what your political affiliation is, your political
You don't need
beliefs,
to choose a
religious
side to be here,
beliefs.
yeah.
And we're also not going to talk about any of that shit because you should be able to go somewhere to get away from that and just get some pure entertainment. And that's what we're all about, is pure entertainment. This for sure isn't educational.
We learned about sharks having 2 dicks on the last episode.
Okay, so it's a little educational.
Yeah. Sharks have 2 dicks, and here's some more education. Turtles can breathe out of their cloacas.
Certain aquatic turtles.
Aquatic cloaca. That's our new band.
Aquatic cloaca.
Our first hit single is Turtles Can Breathe Out of Their Cloaca. It's a punk song with a lot of crying. It's like emo punk. It's an emo punk band.
Screamo.
Yeah, Screamo called, what is it? Underwater Cloaca? No. What was the name of our band?
You said, I forgot. I was too busy drinking my ranch
cloaca
water.
that rhymed with cloaca.
Aquatic cloaca?
Aquatic cloaca, dude.
Aquatic cloaca. That's a mouthful.
It's a good shirt.
So, that
like an ocean blue shirt that just says aquatic cloaca on it.
We need to start looking into getting some merchandise made, some T-shirts and shit like that.
That'd be cool.
I'm sure that at least somebody would buy it. I mean,
I'll buy a shirt.
I'd buy one.
Yeah.
So in the last episode, we talked about Caesar's first trip to Britain, which ended very, very poorly. They pretty much got their asses kicked.
Ransacked some villages. They burned some fucking villages down. And were complete cocksuckers like they usually are.
Yeah,
burning innocent buildings or innocent people's homes down for no reason because they're bored.
Yeah, well, they were bored and they were proving a point. They had a murder boner.
They were horny as fuck.
They went on a murder rampage. Yeah. So, like I was saying in the last episode, the first trip to Britain did not go well. One of the main reasons is because the weather that they ran into going across the English Channel didn't really want to cooperate. They left in August or something like that to go over there. The ships carrying all of Caesar's cavalry ended up getting separated from the rest of the fleet. So Caesar went into his first campaign in Britain without any cavalry while facing a group of people that primarily use cavalry.
Yeah.
At the time, Britain wasn't fielding a whole lot of infantry, or at least the infantry that they were fielding wasn't all that great. So
and they got their asses handed to them. Well, they kind of did pretty good for what they had, but they probably... How much did they lose? Did he lose a lot of guys pushing that beach? Like, I guess we didn't talk about that. Like,
it's really hard to get any clear-cut numbers because a lot of this comes from, like, personal memoirs, like from Caesar, or it's stuff that was written hundreds of years later. So there's not going to be an accurate count. It's usually either they lost a lot of people or they didn't lose very many people. We did have a first-hand account that Caesar, in fact, did have gold filigree on his armor.
From the slave child, the water boy.
From the water boy, yeah.
That's something that we never really talked about.
The water boys?
Was the water boys, yeah. I think that's something that we should bring up at some point.
Because I think the only information that we had about the water boys was from that ancient scroll that you found.
It's from behind you on that. Oh, there it is. Right next to...
We really need to return this to the museum at some point.
Well, as long as you keep it under that light-sensitive sun radiation protective lamp behind you, it should be okay.
I doubt that, but all right. There, it's in a nice, safe place now. After a less than stellar trip to Britain in 55 BC, Caesar loaded his troops onto their leaky ships and sailed for Gaul under the cover of darkness. The weather once again refused to cooperate, and in the early morning hours, one of Caesar's transports was blown off course and separated from the fleet. This is something that we foreshadowed in the last episode. Mm-hmm. This is one of the situations that does point towards Caesar actually really caring about his men or caring about what his men thought of him.
Right.
It could be argued either way. I like to think that Caesar actually did care about the troops working under him.
That makes more sense to me just because if they're together for that long, for years, traveling around on foot together, you're either going to become enemies or become mega bros. That's like the two options. Unless he really kind of kept to himself all the time and was a total cocksucker. But if his troops were willing to work for fucking free for years on end, he had to have been broing down with them. Yeah, he had to have been partying. He was bringing him girls or boys or water boys, whatever it is he needs, whatever the Triarii needs, you know.
Yeah. Well, the reasoning behind that is his troops did love him. They obviously did love
Yeah,
him. They
because
were
he let
very,
them
very
fucking
dedicated
burn down
to him.
villages and take whatever they wanted whenever they wanted,
Yeah, well,
even if it wasn't necessary.
I think pretty much every general was doing it back then. But Caesar himself was actually taking very good care of his troops to the degree that later on in his career, or I mean, for a large portion of his career, they weren't getting paid. And he was just like, come on, keep fighting for me. I promise I'm going to make you rich. He made good on his promise later in his life, towards the end of his life.
To everybody? That it was still alive.
To all of his troops, yeah. All of his veteran troops especially. He took very
Did they have
good care of
wheelchairs?
them. No.
So if the Triarii lost both their legs, they were fucked? Or did they had backpacks?
Yeah, they'd be carried around in a backpack.
Yeah, they'd be carried around. They were still more lethal than the new guys, for sure. Like, if it was two Triarii and one was on another one's back on a backpack without legs, but still could hold a spear, you're basically a guy with two heads facing both ways.
Well, yeah, that was the inspiration for Master Blaster from Mad Max Beyond
It was the
Thunderdome.
Triarii.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, so they'd have one legless Triarii riding on the back of another Triarii that still had his legs, and together they
And
were
they
just
could hold their ground
fucking
for hours.
unstoppable force.
Dude, that looks in my mind
It
super
looks
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it really does. Because they have those little skirts, you know?
Yeah.
So he would have, the guy on the back would have the little skirts, and you would see just the knees where they were cut, like poking out the bottom a little bit.
I can't imagine that people survived amputations very well back in those days. So
Well, if you were a
the
Triarii, and
the Triarii that did survive,
I think they're the only ones that did. 'Cause
They
they're
probably
so
were the
goddamn
only
tough.
ones that. Yeah, they were just too stubborn to die.
Yeah, and then, dude, imagine what the other guy looked like after 3 years of carrying this guy on your back. Their legs just fucking huge. It'd be crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, they got Handsome Dan type legs.
Oh yeah, he does have strong legs.
Yeah, he's got some big fucking
big
legs.
calves,
Yeah, he does a lot of squats.
A sweet ass.
So as I was saying, there was a ship that was blown off course when they were returning back to Gaul. The ship, carrying 300 soldiers, came ashore in northwest Gaul, deep in the territory of the Belgae. Of all the places in Gaul they could have landed, this was by far the worst. Because as you'll remember, Caesar had just spent a few weeks in that area burning down villages, and the locals were understandably pissed.
Yeah.
Soon after the Roman ship landed, 6,000 Belgae descended upon the 300 legionnaires and immediately surrounded them. The Romans grabbed their weapons, formed themselves into a tight square formation, and prepared to fight to the death. The tribal leaders called out to the soldiers, telling them to drop their weapons and surrender, to which the Romans replied, "Get fucked," and held the line.
Get and fucked.
Get and fucked. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, they refused to give up. And for hours, the Romans held their formation, fighting off every advance the Belgae made. So they were surrounded by 6,000 pissed off Belgae who were just out there to kill some Romans.
And they held the line.
And they held the line. They got
How many
themselves
of them were there? The Romans?
300. This is 300, a couple hundred years after 300.
300 after 300. 300 years after 300. 300 men, 300 years after 300 happened.
I mean, it
The film.
might have been around that long.
Sick.
I can't remember when Xerxes was around. Or Leonidas. I'd have to look that up. I probably should have looked that up.
Is that the guy that let his people go? Xerxes? Oh, no, that's Ramses. Never mind.
Wait, what?
Ramses, let my people go. Wait, 300 versus 6,000. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Sick.
And they held their ground.
And they held the ground. That was, Hot Bob was in the room today talking about, he called it like hockey.
Oh, the hockey
That
lines.
was a cool way to, because they're always rotating their
you
men
fight
out
for a little
constantly,
bit, and then you
the whole time just
rotate
rotating.
out so everybody has a chance to rest.
So 300 was more like 3,000.
So, which, by the way, the 300 Spartans against the Persians,
Facts.
it was more like 10,300 because it was 300 Spartans with about 10,000 Greeks backing them up. So not quite as romantic as they said, but still a very impressive accomplishment. You don't what?
I disagree. I've seen the movie, dude. The Greeks were there. They just sucked. They hid in the back and cried.
Well, from
like they still do to this day.
From my understanding, the way that it actually played out is the Spartans brought the Greeks along and then put the Greeks out on the front lines to absorb the brunt of the damage.
Tire them out.
But when everybody else split and took off, the Spartans did hold the line and stayed there until every last one of them was killed. It was
Okay,
an
so they were
amazing
tough.
holdout. Yeah, they had 10,000 other people there.
Was there a
backing
wall
them
of
up.
dead bodies?
I mean, probably. During the last premiere that
Did they
we were
look
doing,
tough like they do in the movie?
no.
They look like how the Cherry I look in my head, right? Like dad bods, big shoulders,
Yeah,
naturally
I mean,
large.
Honestly,
Skilled in
they were
combat.
probably. I mean, they had to have been in really good shape because they would go into the Agoge when they were. The Agoge was the school
The
that
Agoge.
that trained all of the soldiers.
That's where you go as a little kid and you kill wolves and shit.
Yeah,
in the
I
snow?
think. You don't kill wolves to graduate. You sneak out and you kill slaves. You have to kill a slave without being caught.
Really?
Yeah, you have to
That's
murder.
fucked up.
You have to murder a slave. It was actually a form of checks and balances where I don't remember the names of all the different social castes in Spartan society, but they had a small number of citizens, and then everybody else was a slave. And the way that they prevented the slaves from ever having an uprising was just by constantly terrorizing them. So they were always afraid of them. And one of the ways that they would terrorize them is whenever a new group of soldiers was graduating from the Agoge,
Go kill a slave.
they would have to
That's
sneak
so
out
fucked
and they
up.
would have to murder a slave without getting caught. Because if they got caught, they would still get fucked up.
They'd have to be punished.
So they would get punished for it.
So it was illegal, but they were like, just do it. So they were like a mob or something.
yeah, well,
Spartans were like a mob.
and not really. It was more like, I mean, it was more like go out there and kill a slave,
Don't
and if
tell
you get
anyone.
caught, you're going to get punished for it. So the goal is go out there and kill a slave without being caught.
Does it still bother you like it bothers me that when Leonidas was out there fighting, that creepy fucking politician guy fucked his wife? It just hit my nerve stem right now. I'm like, fuck. He's out there killing.
I feel like that's got to be an anachronism. I don't think that's historically accurate because what was her name?
Well, she had to fuck to get what she needed to get them because she was trying to get troops to go there to back him up,
Yeah.
and the only way to get them was to fuck.
What was her name? Her name was so weird.
Kochichi.
No, what that's a
That's
Type
Czech,
of chocolate
that's
from
Czech
Czech.
for that's Czech for kitten.
yeah, which sitting
Which is
right
right
there
here.
on the corner of the table. Oh, it's bugging me that I can't remember her name now. Anyway, whatever. We're not talking about the Spartans and the Greeks. We're talking about the Romans.
Isn't that
right
the
now.
same? How come no one talks about her in history? Because she was Leonidas' wife, and she was also
Well, they do.
the one that wanted to fuck Gladiator.
Wait, that wasn't the same actress.
It wasn't.
No.
Which one was the Game of Thrones one?
Lena-
It was the game. The
Lena
Gladiator.
Headey.
Gladiator
Yeah.
was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Lena Headey. She was also Sarah Connor in the Sarah Connor Chronicles,
Oh, okay.
which I actually really liked.
Okay.
Except the kid playing John Connor was such a. They have never had a John Connor that's fucking tough outside of like Christian Bale.
T2 John Connor was good.
No disrespect to Edward Furlong.
He did
He was
good.
supposed to be a young John Connor,
He
which
was
I can
tough.
get that.
Like you could tell, you could see him becoming tough later.
Yeah, the John
was a
Connor
kid,
from
but-
the Sarah Connor Chronicles,
Was a bitch.
little fucking bitch.
I've only watched a few episodes. I never finished the first season.
Lena Headey does a good job as Sarah Connor.
She was cool.
Summer Glau is. I mean, Summer Glau plays the same fucking character
the
in everything
Terminators
she
were
does. She's
shitty.
like a mentally deficient person
Terminator?
that can fight really well.
Isn't
I mean,
she a Terminator in the end or something?
No, yeah, she's a Terminator from the beginning.
Oh.
But Summer Glau herself plays the same fucking character
Herself.
in everything. Well, I don't know if she's actually a mentally
be
deficient person that can fight really well. But like Summer from Firefly and Serenity,
Don't know those shows.
mentally deficient person that can fight really well.
Mentally deficient.
The Terminator-
What do you
well-
mean? Like retarded?
I don't want to say
Disabled. Slow.
she is
Mensa.
Okay, so when we last left off earlier in this episode, 300 of Caesar's legionnaires had been surrounded
yeah.
by 6,000 Belgae after Caesar had spent a few weeks burning down Belgae villages just before he left for Britain the first
Just
time.
for fun.
And well, it was also reprisal because
That's
those-
why the troops stay with them. 'cause
those
they got to
motherfuckers
rape and pillage.
two Belgae tribes didn't sign an alliance with them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, you got to burn down all their fucking villages. That's what you got to
Fuck
do.
Caesar, dude. He's an asshole.
After numerous attempts to overrun the Roman position, the Belgae were unpleasantly surprised by a sudden cavalry charge into the back of their lines. Caesar had gotten word that a group of his men had become trapped in Belgae territory and sent every last horseman at his disposal to their aid.
Fucking hot in here.
And like I had mentioned before, this was one of the situations that made me think that Caesar really did care about his men, because this is 300 soldiers out of a total of, I mean, he's got like 40,000 troops under his command.
Right.
So for 300 soldiers that got separated and stranded on the shore in Belgae territory, he sent every member of his cavalry, which must have included even some of the Gauls, because they recruited a lot of Gallic cavalry because Romans were shitty horsemen. He sent all of the fastest riders that he had. I mean, not just the fastest riders. He sent every person that he had on horseback to go and save these soldiers that had been surrounded by the Belgae up in Belgae territory, and they got them all back. None of the 300 soldiers died through this whole encounter.
Not a single one?
Not a single one of them
They
died.
held the line that good?
Yeah, because it's kind of
The
weird.
Belgae must have been scared a little bit, or like teasing him and going for long shots.
See,
and
that's what I'm
fucking with
wondering,
them.
because the way the whole situation's described,
I bet they thought they would tire him out, but they had their hockey play
well,
style, and they could never get tired.
with 6,000 soldiers facing off against 300, and this isn't 300 Spartans who are bred from the beginning to fight to the death and see death as...
Were they Triarii? Were they 300 Triarii?
No, these were just...
They all
300
became
legionnaires.
Triarii that day
They
to me.
became Triarii
For
that day.
sure, dude. None of them died? That's
None of
fucking
them
badass.
died. He rescued all 300 soldiers. But the whole situation to me seems a little bit strange, because there were 6,000 Belgae there at the time.
And what's Belgae now? Belgium?
Belgium. If they all rushed the Romans, which they were doing some attacks, but it seemed like what they were trying to do was they were trying to take the Romans captive, because the tribal leaders kept asking them to lay down their arms and surrender. They had enough people to overrun them. I don't know why, if their end goal was to just kill them, I don't know why they didn't just do that. There's no way that 6,000 of these guys could be so afraid. The Belgae were the fiercest fighters in Gaul at the time.
They ain't that fierce. You know?
So, well, no, they were. The Belgae were one of the only Caesar himself called the Belgae the fiercest of the Gaul. So they were obviously very good fighters. They were badasses. But for some reason, they didn't just use their superior numbers to overrun the Romans. They were trying to take them alive for some reason, which I think is just a little strange. I'm wondering if they, like, maybe their end goal was to try to use them as leverage of some sort against
maybe
Caesar.
they thought they had plenty of time because it was only 300 troops. Caesar's a cocksucker. There's no way they're coming back for these guys. These guys are fucked. Let's make them terrified for a month. Weaken them, fuck with them, throw shit at them, starve them to death. Let's torture these fuckers.
See, what I'm thinking is either they wanted to use them as some sort of leverage to bargain with Caesar, or they
They could kidnap them all, that's a lot of leverage.
Yeah.
Probably get some gold filigree from Caesar for that.
Yeah. Or what they wanted to do is, this might be me projecting modern day thoughts onto old timey situations, but they could have been trying to go the ISIS route, where it's like, we want to get all these guys so we can torture and execute them in very public ways to send a message to Rome, and to also build up the courage of our own people. It's like, look, we have all these Romans, we're going to fuck with them and torture them and cut
All
their
the
heads off in
villages that
public.
got burned down, they could go to each village and be like, here, this soldier's for you guys. Do whatever you want with them.
Yeah, and
Beat
imagine
them up, fuck them up. Fuck
imagine
them in
what
the ass, kill 'em, cut his
what
head
that
off.
would have done for the morale of all the Gauls.
Yeah, they'd all be like, holy shit, we have a chance. These Belgaes are tough as shit. They're chopping Roman soldiers' heads off for fun.
Yeah, and actually that's another thing. They could have been using it as a way to establish their dominance over the other tribes in the area. It's like, yeah, look what we did. We captured 300 Roman soldiers
Easily.
and now we're going to torture and
For fun.
execute them very publicly to show everybody else how badass we are.
Yeah. Could you imagine if they had 300 Romans on a leash with just their helmets on and they were nude? just forcing them to walk around naked. That'd be embarrassing for them.
That sounds like a bit of a sexual fantasy for you as opposed
Well,
to
no, that's what they would probably do.
tactic.
Oh, they'd be dragging them probably.
Well, I don't think
from
nudity
behind.
was that big of a deal back then. I mean,
But their armor was cool. So
It
they'd
was.
strip them of all their armor and make them look like fucking homeless
the
people.
Romans did have
slaves.
really fucking badass armor. That
Yeah.
that like banded iron armor.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they were using steel around that time. I think this was still the Iron Age. I could be wrong.
The
I'm sure
Iron
that
Age.
hopefully somebody will correct me if I am wrong.
So they had iron chest plates? Possibly.
I think so. I'm
The
not
Iron
positive.
Age. I haven't heard
I know that
term.
this is at the very least the Romans were post Bronze.
What were the
Age
Metal
at this
Ages?
point.
When did gold filigree come into play?
I think they're. Well, I mean, gold's always been around.
But
for the most
what
part.
about gold filigree
That
specifically?
I have no idea. I would think that was probably post iron. Well, no, they were probably
iron was
using it
first
around the
and then
Bronze
steel or
Age.
something
No,
like that?
bronze, copper and bronze came first. I think bronze was first, and then copper. During our next premiere, anybody who knows the actual order, go ahead and let me know. But I
Yeah.
believe it was bronze, copper, iron, steel,
Steel.
and then
the
they
riddle of
just
steel.
jumped straight ahead to nukes and laser beams.
Sick. Okay.
That's probably not the case, but
No, I think
like I
that's
said,
accurate.
I have no idea.
I think that's 100% accurate, and I'll stand by that.
So all of Caesar's cavalry showed up, crashed into the back of the Belgae lines. The Belgae put up a brief fight, but were unprepared to face such a sudden cavalry
Flanked 'em.
charge. Flanked them. The Gauls scattered and fled into the forest, closely pursued by the mounted Roman troops. As it usually goes during a rout, hundreds of Belgae were run down and slaughtered.
Damn.
With his men safe, Caesar sent his right-hand man, Labienus, which we've talked about him before, with one legion to punish the
Labienus.
Belgae.
I'm your fire. What's your desire?
Once again, the Romans rampaged through Belgae villages, slaughtering civilians and burning their homes. This was becoming somewhat of an annual tradition between the Romans and the Gauls. And it's also kind of becoming Caesar's go-to tactic. Where he's like, oh, you want to fuck with me? I'm just going to go
Good,
around
buddy.
and burn all your fucking villages to the ground.
Yeah, that's fucked up, dude.
Over the winter of 55 BC and 54 BC, Caesar ordered his legions to spread out across Gaul and garrison themselves among the tribes. This would ensure that they wouldn't have to deal with any sort of shenanigans when they returned the next year.
Shenanigans. Yeah.
Caesar returned to Cisalpine Gaul for the winter and sent a messenger to Rome with a report of his conquest of Britain.
What's
Being-
a messenger? Like a bird with a note?
I mean, back then it was just a
Pigeon.
just a person on foot that would ride a horse back to Rome. And you know how the post office works? Like that.
Okay.
Except not with cars.
Yo, the postman. yeah.
Pony
Kevin
Express.
Costner.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah. Tom Petty. Like that.
Tom Petty was in The Postman.
Mm-hmm. Rest in peace.
That could have been such a cool fucking movie if it wasn't such a stupid fucking concept.
I really like that movie.
I mean, I liked it too, but I like
It's
stupid
super-
movies.
such a slow burn and-
That's the reason that I know it's a stupid movie is because I liked it.
I think that it's a sweet idea. It's like a man that just won't give up
But-
on it. It's a reason to live.
Yeah, I mean,
When you got no reason to live and you're like, you know what?
I
I'm gonna
guess so.
deliver
And
the
I mean,
fucking meal.
no disrespect to the postal service workers out there. 'Cause,
Well,
I
you're,
mean,
you're
that's
being a little disrespectful, dude.
Well, no, I'm being disrespectful to Kevin Costner for Waterworld being his last good movie. Waterworld is a good fucking movie.
He was awesome in Superman, dude. He was his dad.
Oh, that's right. No.
It was so good. I
Dude,
cried
When
when he got sucked in the tornado.
okay, spoiler alert to people who haven't seen what was that? Superman. Is that
Kevin
Superman
Costner
Returns?
is Superman's dad. The movie.
Okay, when that plays out, he's just standing there looking at the tornado coming. Everybody else is like a few hundred feet away, and he turns to Superman and gives him a little signal like, no, don't use your powers to save me. You can use your fucking feet to save yourself, you dipshit. He doesn't even fucking move. He just
Had to learn-
stands there.
No, it's a lesson learned. Superman became
So,
a man that day.
He violently died in front of his own son just to teach him a lesson?
Yeah. With great power becomes what is it? With great power comes great responsibility.
That's Spider-Man.
It's for all of them. All the superheroes got to learn this shit at a young age.
Honestly, Superman's kind of a bullshit superhero in my opinion.
He is the shittiest one.
He's like the Mary Sue of all the
There's gotta be
superheroes
one.
out there. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess just
I mean, he's got kryptonite. He does have a weakness.
Yeah, which is really hard for anybody to get their hands on until it's plot convenient, and then it's just like...
Yeah. Duh. We all know.
Superman's a bullshit fucking superhero.
I've never liked Superman except for Superman versus Doomsday. That was my favorite comic book.
Because he finally died.
Well, I didn't know he was going to die. I was in it as it came out as a kid.
I actually didn't know
it was like a fucking 100 fucking episodes.
The
comics.
Superman versus Doomsday arc. I didn't know anything about that until I played the Super Nintendo video game. I think it's just called Superman's Dead or something like that.
That's after, yeah.
Well, yeah, I had no idea that Superman even died until I played the Super Nintendo game. I was like, oh shit.
Dude, I was upset. I almost cried reading
this
a comic
ripoff
book
of the
as a
Thing
child.
killed Superman?
Broke his back.
Yep.
Well, that was Batman. I think
Was it?
Yeah, Batman gets his back broken by Bane.
No, I thought that was how Superman got killed by Doomsday.
Well, it's the same kind of, it's the same image, but they kill each
Doomsday,
other.
Isn't Doomsday just a ripoff of Thanos? Marvel comics are better than DC comics. I don't like...
No, not, this is the only one, in my opinion.
Superman?
No. Superman versus Doomsday only. It was so epic, dude. Like, as a kid, at the time, as a kid, you don't really know the difference between DC and fucking Marvel. You just pick the ones you like, you know. For me, my favorite was fucking Spawn. And then
Todd McFarlane. Yeah, Spawn was
so
my favorite
fucking
comic
cool.
book.
And then I got into Batman, but the Dark Knight ones where it was like the weird little fucking kid that was like, it was super violent, where he was like shoving, it was a little tiny Batman, Dark Knight, that would like shove dynamite in people's heads and their heads would explode. And I was like, what the fuck is this? It's fucking awesome.
Wait, but Batman's not supposed to kill anybody? Well, in the original, like the early DC comics, he was like fucking snapping people's necks. And, well, I mean, not on a regular basis, but yeah,
violent, but
never used a gun
going
in
off,
his defense.
Of course, but I think Superman sucks too. But the Superman versus Doomsday comic series, I even got the novel after. I was so upset that he died, and I got the novel because they released like a novel version of the entire series, and I got that, and I read it again. And then they brought him back to life and all this bullshit, and then instead of coming back to life, he like breaks apart into 5 Supermans, and that's when Superboy, Man of Steel, and all these...
Well, I thought that it wasn't that he like broke apart. I thought that there was other people trying to impersonate him. So you had like
I can't remember,
the metal,
but his like
robotic
spirit
Superman.
and his energy like goes into like 5 people or something.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, something like that. But I remember the comic book that came out where he comes back to life. He's in heaven, dead. It's a whole comic, and he's like fighting demons and shit in hell.
The fuck?
Like, I don't remember it, but it was all in like black and white or gray, and like I remember reading it being like, fuck this. And I was over it. That was the last one I read. Superboy looked dumb. Man of Steel looked cool, but I was like, that's not Superman, fuck this. And Doomsday was dead, so I like completely...
Just lost interest.
Yeah, lost interest in Superman. Until Kevin Costner.
Well, then you're not interested in Superman, you're interested in Superman's dad.
Who was the best dad?
Which, by the way, why didn't he run from the... He just fucking stands there like an idiot.
He had to.
Why?
To teach Superman to become Clark Kent and Superman. Or else he would have been killed. Or tortured or experimented on.
Superman would have been killed?
Or who knows what would have happened.
See, that's a problem. Nobody can fucking kill Superman.
It's
like,
just
even,
like Ellie.
Even
in The Last of Us, she has to keep her special powers secret, or else people won't understand. And you'll be fucking weird and alone and depressed. Yeah, so he's got Clark Kent to be normal, and then he goes and be Superman.
But Ellie's not invincible. Ellie from The Last of Us isn't. She's very. I mean, it can seem like it at times because Jesus Christ, how many fucking broken ribs does she have at this point?
A lot.
Her ribs are always broken.
Yeah.
They have to be. But yeah, that's the thing about Superman that makes it so uninteresting. Is like even in the fucking Justice League movie, the last one that they came out with, the only cool part of the Justice League movie was when the Flash.
They digitally removed his mustache?
I liked that part too. That was impressive. I would have liked it more if Superman did have a mustache because I'm a little partial to mustaches. In case you can't,
it would be sick.
You can't tell.
It would be cool if Clark Kent didn't, and then he grew a mustache.
Superman
grows it because he's powerful.
And then as soon as he stops, like when he changes out of his outfit, it just mustache disappears.
He has to shave it every time. It's a pain in the ass.
His mustache grows so fast that as Clark Kent, he's constantly shaving.
Yeah. Or no, he can grow it whenever he wants. Just like he like flexes and he goes like. But when he comes back to normal, he's got to fucking shave.
He's got to shave real fast.
So
but
Clark
he can shave
Kent
it super
always
speed.
has like scabs and fucking like
He always has really bad razor
rash
burn.
and razor burn all over his face all the time.
When I was in basic training, I knew a guy who actually washed out of basic training because he couldn't shave. He would get razor burn so bad every time that he shaved that he got a medical discharge. This was like
shaving?
Yeah, this was anytime he would shave, like it was fucking disgusting because the whole underside of his neck was just these giant fucking crusty pustules.
Why didn't they just give him an electric razor?
I have no idea. It was one of the weirdest fucking things I ever saw.
It's going to work one way and one way only, and if you don't fit into the exact way it works, then get the fuck out of here.
You got to fit the mold.
Yep.
But it was also kind of strange because this was in 2002, so like they were looking for bodies at the time, and they still sent this.
2002 was 9/11, right?
2001 was 9/11. So shit was already going down in Afghanistan, but what we found out towards the tail end of training is they were ramping up for Iraq. So every single other person that I trained with went to Iraq, and I got fucking sent home because I got a bad back. I mean, honestly, probably for the better, but this guy, like they need bodies
if that
at the
didn't happen,
time.
we wouldn't have met.
That's true. The reason that we met
because you got your
is-
security guard job.
Yeah, I became a security guard, and that's where we met for the first time.
Yep.
And it's
Don't
been
look at me with those sultry eyes like that with that mustache.
What I was just going to say, it's been a downhill slide ever since. I'm just joking.
If I pull your two front teeth out, you'd be hot as fuck, and I'd fuck your face.
What is that?
Anyway,
mean?
let's move on here. That got weird. I just was looking at your mustache and wanted to fuck it.
It always
teeth,
gets weird.
You know, the teeth get in the way.
Anyways, Superman's a shitty fucking superhero because nobody can fucking beat him.
But his dad's awesome.
No, his dad's an idiot because he just stood there when a tornado
He was old.
coming.
He was ready to go, and he had fish gills.
No, now you're... Not every role that Kevin Costner plays isn't the same person.
No, but Kevin Costner... I'm sorry I went on a rant about Superman and Doomsday and Kevin Costner and all that shit. Let's continue on. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, all right, where did I even fucking leave off? So anyway...
300 men...
After they saved the 300 Legionnaires...
By flanking the Belgays, slaughtering them and killing them as they ran.
Yes.
And then burning all the villages once again.
Yeah, Caesar sent Labienus to go around and burn down some villages just to prove a point, and also probably...
Labienus is his boy, right?
Yeah, Labienus is his right-hand man, like,
you think they...
from the beginning. No, I don't think they...
It's like, are they like us? Like,
People think that they're...
Everyone thinks they're fucking, but they're not?
Yeah, probably.
They kind of want to fuck each other, but they won't? Well, Caesar wants to fuck Labienus, but Labienus doesn't want to fuck Caesar, so it's like this weird...
Wait, who's...
That's kind of what keeps the relationship going, because you never know if something could happen.
Wait, who's Labienus and who's Caesar?
So the Belgays come in from the rear.
We're gonna
penetrate them.
We're gonna have to have it. We're gonna have to talk about this later. Not right now though, because Caesar returned to Cisalpine Gaul for the winter, and sent a messenger to Rome to report his conquest of Britain. Mm-hmm. Being his own biggest fan, Caesar was very good at telling people how great he was, even when he wasn't. The Roman populace loved the stories of barbarians in war paint and riding chariots, and the Senate...
And gold filigree.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Britons right now.
Oh.
He sent a messenger back to Rome talking about his campaign to Britain.
So he would mention his gold filigree in his letters.
No, because at that point, I mean, fucking... So to put it in terms that I can understand and relate to, Sam Elliott doesn't mention his mustache every time he's talking about himself. Everybody just knows that he's got a badass mustache.
You think Julius Caesar was as cool as Sam Elliott? Sam Elliott wasn't raping and pillaging villages ever.
I mean, that doesn't really make it cool, though. That makes you kind of a dick. I think that makes Sam Elliott better than Caesar.
That's what I'm saying. So Caesar's the kind of cocksucker that would be like, as my gold filigree shimmered across the land, I killed all the British.
I think it was probably more like he was just framing everything in...
the most positive fucking way possible for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it worked. As I was saying, the Roman populace loved the stories of barbarians in war paint riding chariots, and the Senate even voted to hold a 20-day celebration in Caesar's honor.
Oh, shit.
He had turned a failed military campaign into a political victory, which Caesar was very good at politics. Very, very good at politics.
Oh, so he hasn't even gone back yet. He failed in Britain, and now he worked a story that made it look like...
And he sent a messenger
fought some
back
crazy
carrying
shit.
the story that he wanted them to carry. And yeah, everybody believed it. They were like, oh, holy shit, Caesar went over to this mythical country, fought all these crazy barbarians that are in war paint, and he was victorious. Yeah, they would paint themselves with like blue stripes and shit like that. Oh. You're going to bring up Braveheart, right?
Nope.
At least not yet. We'll do a Braveheart episode, don't worry. I do want to do an episode about William Wallace because Braveheart is one of the least historically accurate movies I've ever seen.
Blue face paint.
Yes. Yes, they would paint themselves blue. They were Celts. While Caesar spent the winter in Cisalpine Gaul, he put his legions to work preparing for his next campaign. He wasn't going to let those limey Brits make a fool of him and get away with it. Every last soldier under his command was given the task of building a great fleet for his return trip. Yes, Joel. Thank you for raising your hand.
How'd they make blue paint?
I don't know. Probably with. I mean, I think they used ochre for red paint. Yeah, actually.
Ruben, will you tell us how they made blue paint?
Ruben, I hope you're in this next premiere. Let us know how they made the blue paint. I could look it up. I just don't feel like doing it right now. He probably knows it off the top of his head also. The Romans weren't great sailors, but they knew some people who were. The Veneti. You remember the Veneti?
Yeah.
They're the people that camped out on their ships just off the coast of Gaul.
And still got their asses
And
kicked.
yeah, they still got killed. Much like they had done with most of Greek culture, the Romans borrowed some good ideas from the Veneti and called them their own. They used the Gallic ships as inspiration for a new design that would help them cross the English Channel more reliably than their previous oar-driven boats. Besides improving their fleet, Caesar also knew that he would need cavalry to counter the British chariots. He had messages sent to every Gallic ally that he had requesting a contingent of cavalry. He also demanded that each contingent was to be put under the command of their tribal leaders. This was not only a good military strategy, it was a brilliant political maneuver. And I actually have a lot of respect for the thought process going into this.
So what's happening here?
So he requested cavalry from all the Gauls that Rome was allied with.
Yeah.
But he specifically said that each contingent of cavalry that he was getting from these tribes had to be led by the tribal leaders, the leadership of that tribe.
So they have some sort of loyalty structure.
And well, it's not just that. It's on a few different levels that this was actually a brilliant fucking maneuver on Caesar's part. Romans of the Republican era weren't the best horsemen. The Gauls, on the other hand, were almost unmatched in all of Europe. By conscripting Gallic cavalry, he was ensuring that he had enough skilled horsemen to counter the Britons, who almost exclusively fielded mounted troops. Caesar also knew that he was taking almost his entire army across the English Channel, leaving the Gauls with very little supervision for the duration of his campaign. By demanding the cavalry be led by tribal leaders, he was denying the Gauls all of the people capable of organizing any sort of revolt while he was away. Along with gaining a military advantage and preventing a revolt, Caesar was also displaying his power. A Roman general was uniting multiple Gallic tribes under his own banner. This was a feat that no Gaul had ever achieved, and none would achieve until the rise of the legendary Vercingetorix.
Holy shit.
It was a fucking brilliant maneuver.
Power move, dude.
Yeah, he's making sure that he gets everything that he wants. He's preventing the Gauls from having any sort of leadership that could help stage a revolt.
Anybody that's got the mindset to take over and do something like that is with him now.
Yeah,
that's
and
fucking genius, dude.
He's showing his power to all of the Gauls and even Rome, where he has all of these disparate
United
tribes,
the clans, dude, just like William Wallace.
Just like fucking
Unite the clans.
William fucking Wallace.
That's fucking sweet. Fuck this guy, dude.
Caesar was fucking brilliant. He was an asshole, but he was a brilliant fucking asshole. By the spring of 54 BC, Caesar was ready for round 2 with the Brits. Oh yeah, treat him well.
Good boy. We're gonna burn you soon.
When he had last attempted to invade Britain, he had brought 8,000 soldiers and 600 cavalry. This time, Caesar had 27,000 soldiers and 2,000 cavalry. Joel, pay attention.
Yes, sir.
So I was just saying, the last time he went to Britain, he had 8,000 soldiers, 600 cavalry.
That's what I said. That's what you said.
See, you're not even listening. This time, he had 27,000 soldiers
27.
and 2,000 cavalry.
Okay.
So he's taking this shit serious. As they had done before, the Romans set sail just after midnight, but this time they left in spring instead of summer. They were hoping that this would help with the storms, but spoiler alert, didn't fucking help. The massive Roman fleet made landfall in Britain around noon the following day, choosing the same beach they had almost died on the year before. This time, there were no angry Britons waiting to meet them on the
Same beach?
shore. Same beach.
Nice.
Because that's the only landing spot that they knew of, and they didn't know. I mean,
And he was like stubborn and was like, we're going back to the same spot. We're doing it right this time.
well, also as far as they knew, like that was the only spot to land, considering the cliffs of Dover. It's like there's nothing but these giant chalk cliffs for
With a
miles
bunch of
and miles in every
William
direction.
Wallaces with blue paint on their
with
face
a bunch
throwing
of William
rocks.
Wallaces throwing rocks.
And no tower. The British didn't build any towers there. No snipers or anything.
No, they didn't have
Didn't
gunpowder back
prepare.
then.
Well, arrow snipers,
I mean,
missiles.
as far as I know, the best bows in history were the English longbows, and that wasn't until
That's Robin Hood shit, right?
yeah, that was hundreds and hundreds
Kevin
of years
Costner
later.
again, yeah.
Fucking Kevin Costner. Yeah, another Kevin Costner movie. How many Kevin Costner references are there going to be in this episode? We spent a lot of time talking about him.
Yeah, Kevin Costner is a powerful man. He's got a huge dick.
I was just going to say, he's got a huge fucking dick. His dick has its own Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, they landed on the same beach they had almost died on the year before. This time there were no angry Britons waiting to meet them on the shore, so Caesar immediately had his men begin building fortifications and sent out mounted scouts to sweep the area. The scouts returned later and reported that there had been an army in the area only a handful of hours before, but had moved inland. Caesar assembled all but one of his legions, and they marched off in the direction of the tracks. Unwilling to let the army escape, the Romans marched through the rest of the day and night, finally making contact in the morning. The forced marches that they would go on, they would literally just keep marching in their column through the entire night. And then they had to be ready to fight whenever they made contact with anyone.
Right.
So they had just
Tired.
spent the previous day
Those water boys were
sailing
working
across the ocean. Oh, fuck yeah, they were. Spent the previous day sailing across the ocean. They get to shore. One legion has to stick around and start building fortifications, and the rest of them just immediately have to start marching inland. And they march for like 16
hours,
fucking
16
hours.
Yeah.
The Britons had hunkered down in a fort on the far side of a small river on top of a small hill that was flanked by trees.
The British don't even prepare for this at all?
I mean, they kind of did, but
The fuck?
this is a loose coalition of tribes at this point. They do start organizing more during Caesar's second trip to Britain, but yeah, this isn't like a unified country. This is just a bunch of tribes spread out all over, the place, each one of them under different leadership. So to actually get all of them together to mount some sort of defense that would take somebody strong
fucking
enough
brutal.
to, yeah, you'd have to be, because I mean,
You'd have
not
to go to the
necessarily
next tribe. You're like, hey, that guy with the gold filigree might come back and try to kill us again. You guys want to team up? They're like, no, fuck you. We don't believe in that.
Yeah, it'd be more along the lines of you march over there and like prison rules. You fuck up the strongest looking guy and be like, all right, who's going to follow me? And then everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to fuck with you, so I'll do whatever you say.
Say what you tell me.
Somebody did do that this time around, though. We're about to get into that.
Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me.
So as I said, the Britons had hunkered down in a fort on the far side of a small river on top of a hill flanked by trees. Mm-hmm. They waited patiently as the Roman army forged the river and began approaching their position. Once they were within a few hundred meters, the Britons unleashed their cavalry, and the battle was on.
And they had blue face paint on.
Yes.
All of them.
Most likely.
Sick.
When the Romans and the Britons had last met, Caesar had no cavalry to counter the highly mobile chariots and horsemen. This time, he had 2,000 of the best mounted troops that he could find. The Gallic horsemen swarmed the British chariots and overwhelmed them before they could even come close to the Roman lines.
Sick.
They quickly broke off and fled into the forest. As the Roman soldiers continued to approach the fort, they began to see movement in the trees on either side of them. The initial chariot attack had just been a diversion
Oh, shit.
to cover an ambush set up in the surrounding woods. Thousands of Britons suddenly swarmed out of the trees and crashed into the flanks of the Roman column.
And Caesar was there?
Yeah, Caesar was the one leading this.
This little brigade.
Yeah, I think he's got
Yeah,
27,000 infantry and about 2,000 cavalry.
2,000 cavalry, 20. But that's not all that went with him.
No,
'Cause
he
a bunch
left.
stayed at the.
He left one legion behind, so at this point he's probably leading about
20,000
men. Although caught by surprise, the heavy Roman infantry formed lines and absorbed the initial charge with ease. After a short skirmish, the enemy infantry broke off and fled, having inflicted almost no casualties on the Roman.
Jeez.
The British.
How are they that good? They're just that good.
They're just that good because So picture the way that
They learned from Leonidas.
Well, I'll put it in terms that you should understand. You know how
What's that supposed to mean?
I'm going to use a movie as a reference.
Oh,
So in Braveheart, the way that William Wallace and all of his men charge into battle and they just rush in and try to overwhelm everybody by force.
yeah.
Imagine they just ran into a solid shield wall.
It just got stopped.
Yeah. And then
That happens in the movie. They lose that one
and
time.
fight for a little, and that's what happened to the Britons at this point.
Damn. They should have done what Kevin Costner did in Robin Hood, where they like built a bunch of houses in the tree line, and then just shot arrows down at them forever, and then they can't get up in the trees.
They try that.
Really?
Well, not exactly the same, but listen to this.
Do you remember when Kevin Costner's swinging on the rope and it's on fire? And first he swings across and he saves the baby or whatever and the mom, and then it's his turn to swing across, but the rope's on fire, and then as he's swinging across, it breaks and he falls to his death, and you think he's dead,
But let me guess, he's not dead.
and then he comes back, and they play Bryan Adams song. Sick, dude.
Fucking Kevin Costner. The Romans continue forward,
Okay.
and once in range of the fort, the British unleashed a barrage of missiles. Caesar ordered his men into a tightly packed formation known as a testudo. Testudo is Latin for tortoise, which is fitting considering they didn't have a word for giant human tank. Have you heard of a testudo before?
That's the thing that can breathe from their asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, the testudo can breathe from its cloaca. For the testudo, the troops would close ranks, the front line would raise their shields forward, the flanks would point their shield outwards, and all of the middle ranks would raise their shields overhead, making the formation almost impervious to arrows, rocks, and javelins.
Fuck yeah.
They held this protective formation as they
Tank.
made their final approach to the British walls.
Ooh,
I said,
so they were
giant
like
human-
that, and they were walking?
and they just
That's
keep
dope.
fucking going. And that's why the Roman military
How many?
at the time, this is like 20,000 guys.
Was it like a bunch of turtles then?
Well, they would be
Like how many per turtle?
they were probably broken up by their cohorts, so that would be
Like 100 per
like
turtle?
500.
500 per turtle. That's a lot of turtles, dude.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the math, but that's a lot of turtles. That's
And
40,000.
for situations
40
like
turtles?
this. It
No,
works.
40 turtles.
I don't know. I'm not going to do math right now. I'm like fucking 6 ranch waters deep. I'm not going to try and do math. But the testudo formation is really useful when you're facing off against a whole shitload of ranged units, but it really, really lowers your mobility. But a situation like this, fucking perfect for it, because they're all the Britons are just sitting on top of the walls of this. It's like pretty much like an earth mound. It's like a hill, and they build up dirt and wood walls, and they're just standing on top of the walls, launching shit at the Romans. But
They're just walking in as a turtle. It's no big deal.
yeah, there's nothing they could do. At that
Dude,
point,
turtles are so badass.
yeah, I mean they're all
They
right.
live for a long time. They can breathe out of their ass. They got all kinds of cool skills.
Flip them over on their back, they're kind of fucked.
Right, but that's the same with these turtle tanks, right? If you could hit them from underneath, you could get them.
Or I mean, with the testudo is mainly
Testudo.
strong against missiles, some sort of ranged attack.
Getting
It-
close, you can
it-
still try to stab your spear through the holes, and
Yeah, it lowers the mobility enough that
it's hard to see.
if you get caught by some fast moving infantry or
and you're not killing anybody.
cavalry, something like that. Yeah, because the
a defensive
Romans
maneuver.
also they're maybe if you combined it with like phalanx tactics, it could be pretty sweet. But outside of that, it's mainly just a
Dude, what if the
defensive
British
maneuver.
were all laying in the dirt in the road and they covered themselves in the dirt and they were like hiding like they were part of the road, like this, you know? And then the turtle walks over them and they wait for the right time and then they just go
And they just start stabbing the
all
Romans in the balls.
in the nuts, yeah.
Right in the
That would have
dingleberries.
worked. They would have, but they didn't know about the turtle until it was too late.
Yeah.
Or what's it called?
Testudo.
Testicle? Testudo.
Testudo. For me, anytime I hear that word, all I can think of is Akira.
Akira.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
Tetsuo.
Tetsuo and
Testudo. I think of like
Tetsuo and Kaneda.
testicle or like a pasta.
That reference is for you, Itamashi. I'm an anime nerd too.
Dude, the best anime is Ninja Scroll.
Yeah, Ninja Scroll's pretty good.
The movie. Well,
The movie's good.
I'd like to know
what
what he thinks. What's a better movie, Ninja Scroll or the 1986 animated film Fist of the North Star?
Balls in your court, Itamashi.
Motherfucker.
By the way, thanks for stopping by the studio the other day.
Yeah,
That was
thanks for the
fucking
White
awesome.
Claw, dude. Next time, bring whiskey or don't fucking come here.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Hey, he brought the White Claw for me, not for you.
That's why I'm upset.
Well, he shared it with everybody. Upon reaching the fortress walls, the Roman soldiers began piling dirt into a makeshift ramp, which allowed them to simply walk up and over the British defenses. Once inside, a short but chaotic fight broke out, which caused the British to scatter. I'm a little disappointed in the British for this because anytime they got
knew
into
they were coming back. Like, what the fuck?
well, I mean, not only that, anytime they get into a stand-up fight,
They run.
they take off. It really seemed like the British were not all that tough
Yeah.
back then. Anytime they got into it, they were good with their chariots. They were good with hit and run tactics. But anytime they got into a stand-up fight with the Romans that didn't involve their cavalry and chariots, the Romans just fucking rocked them, like fast.
They kind of did that to everybody, though.
Yeah, I mean there were some, like, they struggled a bit with the Belgae at times. The Gauls definitely put up much more resistance to the Romans than the Brits ever did.
But the Brits are the only ones that actually stopped them. But it was only because they didn't have their
It was
cavalry,
just
but they did stop them. So
because of their cavalry, it was
some points for that at least.
tactical advantage over a skill advantage. Well, I mean, it was like if you're trying to get into a fist fight with somebody that keeps doing drive-by shootings. It's not exactly because you're tougher, you just have a bit of a tactical advantage over them.
So, did you find anything like what the British thought was happening from their perspective? Like, did they think that the Romans were like a evil fucking demon gang or a fucking god coming to kill them, or like?
I'm sure
do you know what their perspective was.
I didn't look into that specific angle, but I'm sure that
Were they like, what was their mentality? Were they fucking terrified, or were they like fucking pussies? But then they kept losing. Like,
No,
what was the mindset?
honestly, I think they had to have been terrified because at that point they had just been fighting amongst themselves. They did some trading with Gaul. I'm sure that they were aware of the Romans, at least to a certain degree. Like the Gauls had to have
Talked about them.
Yeah, brought up the Romans to them because the Britons were trading with the
Do
Gauls.
they speak
at that
the same
point.
language? Like, what's the?
No, they would still need interpreters because I'm probably completely wrong by saying this, but I would imagine
Just go with your heart.
Excuse me. I'm just going to go with my heart then. I would imagine that the Gauls are probably speaking some ancient form of French or
Like a clicky thing, probably, right? Like,
no, that's a bit more African than European. But I mean, they would have they would have
deep voices.
That's German.
That's that direction.
Well, no, that was the Germanic tribes across the Rhine. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with the whole history of the languages in that area.
They probably didn't speak yet.
Oh yeah. Spoken language wasn't invented until
1892.
Until like talking movies, the talkies back in the early 1900s. So before
Yeah.
that, everything,
Yeah.
anytime anybody was talking, there would just be words that would pop up.
It was all sign language. before that.
Everybody spoke in subtitles.
Shit like that. Yeah.
But yeah, the Britons, they must have been terrified because they've been fighting amongst themselves for the most part. They're living on an island.
What did they look like?
They looked like Celts.
Like Braveheart?
Well, I mean, Braveheart wasn't really historically accurate.
So what did they look like?
They were probably wearing.
Like I have a good.
They were probably wearing some tunics and some furs. They would
look
wear
like the Gauls,
body
the same,
paint,
but with body paint.
No, different, because I don't think the Gauls were using blue body paint the way that the Celts were at the time.
So they were different because they
okay for the
like the beginning of Gladiator when they fight those are the Gauls, right?
no those were Germans that they were fighting. I think.
Oh,
I mean, they might not have been,
but they had.
But also,
wolf skins.
Gladiator happened a few hundred years after Caesar's death. That was during the reign of Marcus Aurelius, which was like in
Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, yeah.
This date's probably. We'll say that Marcus Aurelius was around in roughly like somewhere between 100 and 500 AD.
What does the phrase shadows and dust mean to you?
Nothing.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It means nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was saying, the Brits most likely were terrified because they were living on an island, so they weren't dealing with invaders a lot. They were fighting amongst themselves.
Like a human generation back a notch? Like were they
like what age were they living in?
Yeah. Were they still what's the one before Homo sapien?
I don't think they were Neanderthals. No.
Were they Neanderthals?
No.
It seems like it.
No.
Oh no, they had chariots.
Yeah, the Neanderthals have been gone for a long fucking time before.
I see one right in front of me right now. Turn to the side again. Yeah,
they're
still here.
We did this a couple episodes ago.
They're
Yes,
hiding. They're just hiding.
They're
among us.
The descendants of the Neanderthals are still here,
The Neanderthal.
and I'm carrying on the lineage by. Actually, no, I'm disgracing my ancestors.
Neanderthals had fucking chariots.
So as I was saying, no, they didn't.
We don't know that. Do we know that for a fact?
The wheel wasn't invented until after the Neanderthals were gone.
Well, maybe it was the second time it was invented. Shit decays over time.
I can't disprove it, but that's getting into ancient alien type shit that I just
it takes
refuse to
3,000
do.
years
I love ancient aliens.
For something to disappear.
Who said that?
Scientists.
Well, then I'll believe it.
Well, it depends on what it is exactly, but the average, like a building, if you just like built a wood building, it'd be gone in 3,000 years. There'd be nothing left.
The pyramids have been around for a long time.
That's a different structure.
So it doesn't just take 3,000 years for something to disappear.
I said a wood building.
The separation. I'm sure that a lot of people have already heard this, but to put things in perspective in terms of the overall timeline, the amount of time that passed in between Caesar and the building of the ancient pyramids is about the same amount of time that has passed between Caesar and modern times.
That's cool.
So the pyramids,
that thing is still fucking here.
The pyramids were thousands of years old by the time Cleopatra and Caesar were around.
Those are like the only buildings that existed that made it, probably, there are probably entire cities all around those.
I mean,
They
there's
were
like,
made of wood, and then they're just gone.
The wood stuff for sure has definitely disappeared at this point, but there's other stone structures like from ancient Mesopotamia that have been around.
Machu Picchu still has a little bit left, but most of it's gone.
Machu Picchu is surprisingly recent. If I'm not mistaken, Machu Picchu is about as old as like Oxford University.
What?
Yeah, it's not all that. I mean, it's old, but it's not like
when I was there,
10,000
they said
BC
the
old.
first bridge ever made was made there.
The first bridge ever made
was made in Machu Picchu.
The Romans were making bridges before that.
Maybe it was the first bridge for the Peruvians. I'll have to look this up.
Yeah, maybe that, because as far as I know, like Machu Picchu is about as old as Oxford University. Oxford University is surprisingly old.
English people are old, most of them.
So anyway, as I've been trying to say, the Britons were
Like Batman's
terrified
butler,
because they were living on an island and they'd only been fighting amongst themselves, and they were primarily only experienced with the same tactics that the other people on the island had been using.
Right.
So now there's this
They had
huge
chariots, though.
unified
That's cool.
force of nearly 30,000 people all working together in a very, very organized manner.
That would be
Like
so
they
crazy.
they had no fucking chance.
That would be magic at the time, right? That would just not make sense that they were all communicating and moving like that. It's like
Yeah.
if you've never seen ants before, and then you see ants for the first time, and they're all doing the exact same thing. It's kind of like,
Yeah, I
how
mean,
the
they-
fuck are they connected like that?
With the way that all of the tribes, I mean, similar to the way that the Romans were able to just kind of march over the top of the Gauls. The Gauls were much better fighters, at least in my opinion,
It took a little longer.
because the Gauls actually put up a
fight.
fight against Caesar. The Brits, the only thing that they had going for them is that they had chariots and cavalry. They were able to move quickly, but in terms of actually like, you know, getting on the line and getting in a
Putting a
fight,
dent in 'em?
their infantry were fucking terrible. So, as I was saying before, they were approaching this fortress on top of a hill, and the Romans
There was a ramp?
they built a dirt ramp.
built a
They
fucking ramp while
marched
they were
up,
there.
and it's not the first time the Romans have done that. They've done that in previous engagements, and they do it again in future engagements during Caesar's lifetime.
And it's probably instant because it's already been talked about ahead of time. Like you get to a wall, we build up, we build our defenses, and we build a ramp. It's standard
And all it
procedure.
is, they're just sitting there fucking piling up
piling up dirt till it gets
dirt
big enough to get over.
and rocks and trees and shit like that. And yeah, as soon as they can, they march up.
The same as anywhere else. Yeah.
The Romans.
That's sick, dude.
The Romans were amazing engineers. Like we talked about in the other episode, over the course of 10 days, they built a bridge across the Rhine, which is an insane accomplishment considering the tools that they had to work with at the time.
Yeah.
And then it was such a minor thing for them that once they were done marching around in Germany and fucking shit up, they just destroyed the fucking bridge.
They can, 'cause they
so-
know yeah.
So something that I left out just because, I mean, the episode's already running along, so I might as well get into it now. When Caesar first established the beachhead on his second trip to Britain, he wasn't about to get caught with the same bullshit that he went through on his first trip to Britain. So, at one point, which we're coming up on it. Well, I'll explain it once we get to that part in the story because it's coming
Okay.
up here pretty soon. So the Romans marched over the top of the walls in this like dirt
And
fortress
Caesar's
that's
fucking
on
there
top of
with
this
them.
hill. Yeah, the force that he sent out to go after the army because the scouts.
He's with the force.
Yeah, he's
Like a
leading
G
them.
with his boys, dude.
Yeah, Labienus, on the other hand, is back in Gaul, making sure that nobody starts any shit back there. Labienus has, I think, like 2 or 3 legions under his command back
Oh,
in
he's
Gaul
just
that he's
chilling,
taking
just
care of.
getting laid. That's what he's doing.
I mean, he's probably still marching around burning down villages at that point.
And fucking
So the Romans march up to the top of the walls in this fortress on top of the hill.
what did the fortress
Jump
look
inside.
Like?
I mean,
What was their fortresses like? Wooden?
I can't remember
Stone?
no, it'd be wood and dirt. They would pile up a whole bunch of dirt, reinforce it with wood, and that's pretty much it.
So like the bullshit from like 13th Warrior where they go in the beginning?
It works though.
Yeah, it works. Yeah. Well, kind of.
so yeah, something like that.
Not
There's-
against the Romans.
Yeah, not against the Romans because they'll just fucking build.
Just slows them down a little
They
bit.
build their way around it.
How long do you think it took them to build the fucking ramp to get over the wall?
This all happened over the course of like an afternoon.
Fuck, that's so crazy.
This was all over the course of one day. They got there at around noon, marched out. So it's a little bit more than a day, but they arrived in Britain around noon. Their scouts found that there was evidence that an army had been there before. Caesar had his legions march through the rest of the day and the night. And then the next day is when they found the fortress. And this whole battle takes place over the course of a day because they didn't have flashlights and shit like that. And it's really not a good idea to fight by torchlight. So as soon as the sun starts going down, that's usually when the battle will break off and everybody goes back to their camps to wait out
Trying
the
to
night.
recover and fucking
I mean,
whatever.
there would be nighttime attacks, but that was like a pre-planned, we're going to hit these guys at night, use the cover of
Yeah.
darkness, we're going to sneak in, slit some throats, launch a surprise attack.
I mean, you could take 20 Romans and just throw a fireball over the roof and into the fortress and keep everyone awake all night, and while everyone else is sleeping. While your troops are sleeping, you kind of do a little skirmish move.
Yeah, I mean,
Would
even
they do
that,
shit like that, where it's like, if
no,
you just
not
kind of
really.
like fuck with them a little, that entire fortress is going to stay up all night because they're scared.
Fire,
while your troops are resting.
Fire actually wasn't used as a weapon as often as movies would make you think that they do, which was
Wasn't
actually
there fucking
surprising
some
to
sort of
me.
napalm shit that, like, didn't the Romans invent napalm or something?
No,
and then it disappeared
the
over
Greeks
time?
did. It was called Greek fire.
Greek fire, yeah.
And
what's that about?
we still don't know the exact formula
we don't
for
know.
creating
we
Greek
haven't
fire,
reinvented
but it was something. Well, we have some theories about what it's made up of. I have no idea what it's made
creamy,
up
right?
of, but
It's
it's
like a
something.
creamy?
No, I would imagine that it's a mixture of some sort of powdered chemicals. That what they would do is they would pump water through it, and it must have been something that had.
Water.
I want to say either
Wouldn't water
either
stop
like
fire? Somewhere?
sodium or potassium or something like that. And I'm not a.
Liquid nitrate.
This might come as a surprise to people, but I'm not a chemist. But yeah, it was something that they would have on the Greeks would use on their ships and I think sometimes at their fortresses where they would
Anal
use
nitrate.
pumps. No, that's something completely different, which we'll
get into that on another episode.
I'll show that to you later. They would pump water through it, and the water would cause it to combust, which, from my rudimentary understanding of chemistry, makes me think that it was something that was sodium-based, because I'm pretty sure that sodium is volatile, like pure sodium is volatile when it's exposed to water. I'm not a chemist. There's somebody right now that's listening to this going like, you fucking idiot. Yeah. Yes, I'm a fucking idiot.
That happens every
I
episode
fully
for us.
agree
It's
with you.
okay. We're all in this together.
I'm starting to get used
Humans
to just.
are idiots.
I'm starting to get used to being wrong all the time because I mean I don't. I seriously do not have the time to become an expert in all the shit that we talk about, but I'll do my best to pretend like I am. But yeah, the Greeks invented Greek fire long time before the Romans, and I'm pretty sure that it was
Napalm?
lost before.
Was it like napalm?
I mean, similar.
Because it was like liquid fire, right? That's what they
yeah,
say.
yeah. They would use it to set boats on fire. It was primarily used in naval warfare, as far as I know. So yeah, the Romans marched up to the top of this earthen barrier that they had turned into a fortress. There's a specific word that is used for
those types
earthen fortresses. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Also, this ranch water's fucking with my memory, so I should drink more.
I just wanted to know, kind of like, it's always that, it's the weird, you come up with how it seems in your head, like the visuals in your head, and I'm trying to just picture what it is they were building this ramp up to, like, it's obviously not a giant stone fortress like from Willow or some shit, where the evil Queen Bad Marta turns everyone into pigs. It's not like a giant fucking castle wall.
No,
it's like this shitty wooden wall with like a bunch of dirt piled up so they're higher up, and then some tree trunks fucking laid around or something. Like,
Yeah,
what is something that you could compare it to?
I could be wrong, but what I picture it as is they would pile up dirt to create walls, but the outside of the fortress would be a bunch of logs all stacked up right next to each other, like the walls of a walls of a fort where they're stacked up vertically.
Okay, yeah, like the fort in the beginning of Braveheart.
Yeah, and then just picture on the inside of that, they've piled up dirt to the top of the wood. And then they can stand on top of that and just fire shit down on top of them. Because I don't think they were even using like ramparts at that point, where they're really using the where they have cover or anything like that. I think the tops of the walls were just level with the walkways that they would have built up
Interesting.
around the inside of them. So the Romans built this ramp. Well, not built. I mean, they just piled up a bunch of fucking dirt and rocks and sticks until they were able to just walk up to the top of the walls.
Yeah.
And then they walk up to the top of the walls, and the Britons are like,
fuck. Oh, fuck. They're up here.
Nobody's ever done that before. And the Romans just climb into the fortress, and all hell breaks loose at that point. It doesn't last very long.
Literally exactly like when you were a kid at the beach and you make your little fucking castle out of sand and you're waiting for the tide to change, and then the wave just goes boot and just ruins your entire fucking castle.
Except they didn't knock down the walls. They just climbed up and over the top of them.
Yeah.
And like I said, this isn't the only time the Romans have done that. They do that
all the time. That's one of their main skills.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's
a tactic to get over a wall.
It's a pretty simple way to defeat a wall if you don't have any form of siege equipment. Because they were using scorpions at the time. I believe they were scorpions, which are just like massive crossbows.
They had giant scorpions?
Well, no.
Living?
No, I don't want you to confuse this with like Clash of the Titans
Clash
or
of
anything.
the Titans?
Yeah, not like that. These are gigantic crossbows that fired huge crossbow bolts.
They were called scorpions?
I'm pretty sure
In
that
Warcraft,
that's
what were they called? They were called...
weren't they still called scorpions?
Were they?
I think so. Maybe not. I can't remember. But yeah, they
giant
had
tank-sized crossbows?
I mean, probably about that size. I think
Or like the size of our table?
I think the bow was probably a little bit bigger than that. I think the bow was probably about maybe
Holy shit.
7 to 10 feet across.
They would carry those with them?
No, they'd use them as siege equipment. So it's not something that they would just have rolling around with them all the time. They'd use an open battle. You would use it against a fortified position.
Like in the case right now?
You would either use it in that situation or you would have it at a fortified position because there's such a defensive or offensive depending on the situation, but you'd mostly be using it against a static target because it takes so much effort to move something that size around and it takes so long to load it and pull the fucking string back and shit.
Yeah, how the fuck did they do all that? That's crazy.
Cranks, I'm pretty sure. Like they would just crank them back
while in a battle.
Yeah, but I mean these things, the timeline that these battles took place over is a lot longer than what people generally picture. I mean they can't take place over multiple days.
In an afternoon.
Yeah, so that's when they're using ground troops that they're not using siege equipment at that time because it's not a siege. It could have turned into a siege.
We don't even need our fucking bow and arrow bullshit for this. This is easy.
And I mean, honestly, Caesar probably didn't bring any of those with him because they're...
Slow you down.
Yeah,
they
slow you down a lot. But yeah, in situations where they're using those giant crossbows, the scorpions, you're either using it against a fixed position or you're using it from a fixed position because it's not really viable.
What would they use them for exactly? Like, what was the purpose of those things?
I mean,
main purpose.
Fuck shit up from a distance.
Like if there's a shield wall, you just blow it into a shield wall and it makes a hole in the shield wall? Or do you use it to take down walls?
There's at least one account of a soldier being hit by a bolt from a scorpion that actually nailed him to a tree. Oh. Like just center punched a guy, nailed him to a fucking tree back behind him. Like they carry a lot of force.
Do they have catapults back then?
Well, catapults
they got catapults, right?
So catapults are...
They had those in Gladiator,
They're also fairly anachronistic. Like the way that they're portrayed in modern times isn't very accurate. Which first of all they were used later on. That was a long time after
Aurelius
Caesar's time.
Those, yeah.
I don't know about that, but as far as I know, catapults, like an actual catapult, isn't exactly a real thing in the way that we picture them. They weren't used very often. They weren't used the way that we think that they were used. Trebuchets, which came around a lot longer after Caesar, those are a bit more...
What is that?
Realistic. The trebuchet is a counterweighted catapult. It's almost like a sling that's powered by a big weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that what the orcs used in Lord of the Rings?
Yes, that's a trebuchet.
Sick. Yeah.
Those would be used against a fixed position during, like if they're trying to take over a fortress with stone walls, you would just use those to knock down the walls.
Knock down the walls and then move in, yeah. Well, if you're a bunch of orcs and you're like, holy shit, Gandalf's in there, you're bringing your trebuchets for sure.
I think Gandalf would take down a trebuchet personally.
Well, he didn't, and he lost that fight because they brought all their goddamn trebuchets. The only reason why they got killed at the end after taking over the castle was because of the stupid ghosts.
Okay, that's a fair point.
They
can't
won.
argue
They
with you there.
won. They took the castle, even with Gandalf with his fucking little spear and his sweet gay spin moves
So-
and shit.
This is actually getting into some stuff that I want to do an entirely separate series on,
Oh, yeah?
which is medieval combat in general. Because a lot of the times the stuff that you see in movies, like Lord of the Rings, is very much emulating medieval combat, which is like,
Were cave trolls real?
cave trolls went extinct around the time that I think it was around the time the dodo bird went extinct.
Was that when? Because Caesar killed them all. God, you're an idiot, dude. You think you look like the idiot?
Oh no,
I am the idiot.
I do, because I'm the one pretending that I know what I'm talking about.
At least I don't look like Bert.
Do I need to pluck my unibrow? Let's see.
Ernie is definitely hotter than Bert for sure. Like, he's cuter, he's sweeter, he's funnier.
Depends on what your preference is.
He's nice. Bert's always grumpy and moody.
So at some point I do want to do a series about medieval combat in general. Not just specific battles, but I want to take medieval combat as the icon and pick that apart, because the reality, in my opinion, is so much fucking cooler than the way that it's portrayed in movies a lot of the time. Because everything moved a lot slower, but it was also like even more fucking brutal than what they show. We were talking about this during the last premiere, that the Battle of the Bastards from Game of Thrones has, I mean, a lot of it is wildly inaccurate, but there are some parts of it that are like the most accurate portrayal of
that scene
physical
was so good. That was the most disturbed I've been in a
back
long
then.
time, since like Braveheart.
The piles of bodies. That's the part that really piles of bodies and the slaughter.
The being stuck like this, like squished and being like people just like killing each other while they're floating and squishing and their feet aren't even touching the ground.
Dude, that's some real shit.
I know that from like metal concerts and being at concerts where everyone's smashed. You can literally lift up your feet.
You
and
get
you're
stuck
just
in
float.
the crush.
Yeah, awesome.
Getting like people dying standing up and everybody being packed so closely together is accurate. People being packed so closely together that they suffocate just from like their comrades around them.
Yeah.
Everyone's smashed so close together that they die from that. That's
I believe
accurate.
it 100% because you've seen that in concerts.
Oh yeah.
I remember one time I was at some metal show. I don't remember what it was, and I'm like, because I get claustrophobic. If I can't move my arms, I like panic a little bit, and it was getting to that. I loved the band playing, so I was fucking into it, and I didn't care that I was like that, but I kept almost freaking out. And I remember it because like the whole crowd would fall to one side, and you're just stuck on the ground, and then people start picking you up, and then the whole crowd just falls the other way. And I remember at one point I was like, "Holy fuck, this is intense! Like, maybe I should start making my way out of here. This is too much." And I like look over, and there's just this little girl. I mean, she was the same age, but she was tiny. She was passed out cold, feet not touching the ground, stuck, smashed, floating in the crowd, just stuck. Didn't even fall because it was so packed. And I remember I saw her and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And then there was this big dude behind me, and I was like, "Hey!" And I like punched him, and he saw me, and I pointed at this girl, and he was like, "Oh!" And the two of us just grabbed her and like threw her up, and then she like crowd surfed, passed out to security. And they probably helped her, but
Jesus Christ, that reminds me of my time back in the hardcore scene where I don't even know why that shit was fun. Because even back then, I didn't think it was fucking fun. It's like, oh, all these people are fucking kicking me in the head and jumping on top of me. I just want to fucking watch the goddamn band. But it's like, no, I'm in the hardcore scene. I got to be tough.
I loved it. When you're pissed off and you're young and you don't know what the fuck's going on in the world, when you're in those like. Being in there smashed with all these other people that are pissed, like it's violent and fucked up, and you can walk away bleeding if you want to. But at the same time, when you I got knocked on my ass so many times in mosh pits and shit, and they always pick you up, unless there's a cocksucker, he'll step on you, but then people will fuck him with them.
Up. Yeah. No, so that is something that I liked about being in the pit and like hardcore shows and metal shows.
I just went to the Knock Loose
There was
concert.
a certain amount of camaraderie that went along with it, where it's like, okay, we're fucking each other up, but we're not trying to hurt each other, and that's actually
you're trying to hurt each other, but not aggressively or it's enough. Like you want to fucking elbow each other. You want to hit each other. You want to like.
Well, see,
I had a
that's-
rule whenever I went to a metal show and go in the pits. I'm not gonna fucking stop being in the pit until I either get a black eye or I bleed. Like I always wanted to bleed by the end, but you're not gonna get a broken arm or a fucking broken neck. You're gonna get a bloody lip or
that's
worst case a broken nose or like that guy at your show
that got his tooth knocked out. Yeah,
right in front of me.
No, that was always for me the difference between a metal show and a hardcore show is like the metal shows, which if there's any music connoisseurs in the audience, I'm sure that I'm getting all the fucking terms wrong.
Who cares?
Because I mean, you can break that shit down into smaller and smaller pieces. But from my experience in the music scene, the metal shows, there was a lot more camaraderie where it's like we're all just trying to get out a lot of frustration and angst, but at the end of the day, we're all friends and we're not trying to purposely hurt anybody else.
Yeah.
The hardcore shows, it's like, I'm going to see how many people I can hurt and get away with it. Because, I mean, they would do like fucking gopher bopping and like head walking and shit like that. Like that's what pissed me off so much about being in the hardcore scene. And I'm talking about like the Southern
like
California hardcore scene. Which, no, floor punching I didn't have a problem with. It's the Southern California hardcore scene personally, where it's a bunch of, like, I mean, floor punching is really just fucking, it's just dancing.
Yeah.
But in Southern California, it took on a different role where it's like, okay, what can I do to fuck up other people and get away with it?
See, I didn't have that part. Like, I think that was, I mean, that was obviously a big part of it. There's a big group of people doing that, but that wasn't the purpose for everybody.
No.
Those are the cocksuckers.
Dude, it's the, I'm sorry,
Scene kids.
Southern California, I'm always going to have a place for you in my heart, but the Southern California hardcore scene is a bunch of fucking assholes.
Maybe the ones in Santa Barbara.
Oh no, Orange County is the worst.
Yeah.
Orange County hardcore, a bunch of fucking spoiled rich kids trying to act like they're tough. And
See, I don't like that. If you're trying to hurt people, that's
the whole thought process spread out from Orange County and like took over the rest of Southern California. It's like, oh well, if you want to be cool in the hardcore scene, you have to be like the fucking kids from Orange County. And I'm looking at you, Throwdown. You know you started that shit. Well, I mean, you at least influenced it a lot.
Fuck you, Throwdown. Dude,
Throwdown's later albums, pretty fucking legit though. They started sounding like Pantera. Yeah.
Okay.
Once I think they actually started drinking again because they started off as a straight edge band. Like no drinking, no drugs, nothing like that.
I just went to a Knocked Loose concert.
Knocked Loose is the shit. That's one of the best hardcore bands to come out of the music scene in a long time.
I loved it, and I went in the pit, and it was okay. I'm in my late 30s now. That's old. I'm 37. I'm about to turn 38 in July. I was the oldest person in the mosh pit. It's the first time it ever happened. And a couple times, like super young kids, like 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. I still feel like I look younger than I am. Maybe I don't. And a couple young kids are like, yeah, like they couldn't believe there was an old guy in there. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm the old guy in the mosh pit. And I remember when I was young, 16, 17, and there'd be an old dude in there fucking running around. I thought it was awesome, but you kind of make fun of him.
So, okay, this kind of plays into the comparison that I was given before where...
Wait, but last thing. I want to say I moshed in that shit, same as I always did, and I stayed in there the whole set. And I made some friends. Like, you make friends with people that are also going the whole time.
Yeah.
You can like, dude, you've been in here this whole goddamn time. And I did that, and I was there the whole show till the end. I was covered in sweat. I bled before I left. And I was with the Coop Giant, and he was pissed. He didn't understand what floor punching was, and he didn't understand why people were hitting him. Like, he was getting mad. And he kept pulling me out because he'd see me getting fucked up, and he'd grab me and pull me out because he was trying to protect me.
Now, see, I feel like that, I could be wrong, but from my experience, that's an Orange County thing that spread out from Orange County where, like, as far as I know, like I said, I very well could be wrong,
Yeah.
But from my experience, when you're floor punching, part of the process is you clear out your space. Like when you're getting ready to floor punch, there's a specific maneuver that you go through where you're like marching back and forth, you're spreading your hands out, you're pushing people
you can
back.
tell when someone's about to go. It's up to you to avoid it.
They clear it out. But
dude, that's my favorite thing to do when there's like 5 dudes that think they're hot shit and they go in together and start floor punching. I'll run right at them. I just put my arms up and just knock them over.
Now, see, that's
they want to hit me, dude. I'm gonna hit you back, and then I'll pick you up after I knock you on your ass.
That's the from, like I said, once again, this is from my experience. That's the dickhead Orange County process, or like thought process that was being brought into it. Is originally you clear it out so you have your space to floor punch, and you're not specifically trying to hit people. You're not floor punching to fucking hit people.
You're trying to punch as hard as you can to let some shit out.
No, yeah. It's literally just dancing. That's all it is it's dancing. Because it was called slam dancing at one point.
If I wanted to get beat up when people started floor punching, I would just kind of like walk into it and get hit on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, you can...
It's like an opportunity to get punched if that's what you need to let off some steam.
Yeah, if that's what you want, you can do that. The people who were fucking floor punching and doing it, it's like fucking... It's like
I've seen people that like
Bart
punch,
Simpson,
punch, and then spin and just like literally like kick someone in the back of the head. And those
fuckers and that's the bullshit that I hated. And the fucking gopher boppers where they're sitting there, they get up at the edge of the pit because there's
I was
usually
about to talk about that. I have a bad back, and nothing will piss me off more if I'm at the edge of the pit and I fucking tired because I just moshed for 3 songs, trying to get my fucking wind back, and then someone just fucking checks me right in the middle of my back and knocks me into the middle of the pit just to be a dick. That shit pisses me off. But that happens all the time. No, if you're in the pit, you're going to get fucked with no matter what.
The gopher boppers that I'm talking about, they're the ones where... So, okay, you know how usually there will be a few ranks of people up at the very front that are facing towards the band, the pit's usually back behind them a ways. Yeah. The gopher boppers will go up to that line of people who are facing the opposite direction and jump up and punch somebody in the back of the head who's up towards the front.
I've never seen that.
And dude, I saw that a shitload. Gopher boppers and headwalkers, those are the ones that always fucking piss me off. So instead of crowd surfing, like where you run up on stage and
try to
jump up, you try to step on as many heads or shoulders as you can before you fall into the crowd. That also kind of drove me fucking crazy.
That would piss me off.
I'm sure that.
See, I don't let people get away with that. If somebody stepped on my head, I'd hunt them down and get them back for that.
And that would usually happen. I mean, that's why we always got in so many fucking fights when I was in the hardcore scenes, because people would be doing that shit. For me, that wasn't the point. I wanted to fucking mosh. I wanted to play my music. And also, I wanted to watch the fucking band. Like, that's what bothered me, is it got to the point where...
If you want to watch the band, you don't just hang out near the pits.
Well, I would hang out near the pit when I wanted to be in the pit, but when I wanted to watch the band, I'd still want to be up towards the front, because I wanted to watch the guitarists. I wanted to see, like, what they were doing and shit.
You want, Coop. You can't have... What is it? You can't have all your eggs in your omelet at the same time?
You can't have your cake and eat it, too. Yeah. No, because... Okay, that's why I'm saying there was a difference between the hardcore scene.
You want it to be fucking a bunch of flowers that are at a metal show. They're giving you a flower when you get in the pit. Like, here, come sit. And there's like pads and fucking like beanie babies and bean bags.
You went to shows with my band. You know that wasn't the case. We played floor shows where we would play in the pit itself.
What do you want? If it's a metal show, it's going to be tough. It's going to be violent, and that's
hardcore shows are much more violent than metal shows have ever been.
Yeah, that's true.
And that
I never saw someone have their teeth knocked out.
That was my complaint. Is like, I could go to a metal show, I could get up to the front, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to get up to the front and I wanted to see the band. I wanted to listen to the music. If I wanted to get in the pit, I'll go over and get in the pit.
Yeah.
But I would get up to the front. Like, if it was somebody like, okay, so this isn't strictly a metal band. This is a like metalcore band, Unearth, which, I mean, metalcore might be a fucking slur at this point.
Who cares?
But
it's all metal to me.
Unearth had, in terms of the hardcore scene, Unearth had some of the best fucking guitarists. Ken Susi especially. Ken Susi was one of my idols when I was first getting into the hardcore scene. anytime I
is a
went
good
and
band.
saw Unearth, oh yeah, Unearth.
Their
is
new
fucking
album is
awesome.
still fucking good, and they're old as shit now.
The only thing is like all of their like you can play all of their albums back to back. After the first 3, they all just start running together. It's still good music though. It's still fucking some gnarly shit.
Yeah, I still like listening to it.
But I'd want to, like, when I'm watching bands like that who have some like really intricate, talented musicians, I'd want to get up to the front and I'd want to be able to watch and see what they were doing so I could learn from them and also just be impressed by the level of skill that they had. At a straight up metal show, I'd be able to do that and people wouldn't fuck with me. At a hardcore show, you're going to get fucked with unless you're at like the back of the fucking club or the back of the venue.
You either have to be
you're going
against
to
the
get fucked
front,
with.
and you're going to get squished, or at the very back, having a
Yeah,
cocktail
and even if you're at
sitting
the
in a
front,
chair.
you're going to have people head walking and gopher bopping.
Yeah.
So it was all just kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
The Southern California
Cocksuckers.
Southern California hardcore scene was full of a bunch of fucking assholes. I met some really good people, but on the whole, a bunch of fucking assholes. You know who else was assholes? Goddamn Roman Legion.
We're going back in.
Yeah, we got we just got a little bit over a page left to go through.
Can we just give a shout out to Godflesh,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
band?
yeah. Godflesh is good. I gotta say
The one album. I only know the one album. Let me look it up real quick.
the one album which has a very long extended song.
A World Lit Only by Fire by Godflesh is a great album.
It's
What is that? It's just metal.
uh,
It's kind of grungy metal, slow.
I'm not sure
repetitive.
how you would classify that technically. I mean, you could call it metal or you could call it no.
If you're a
you
fan
couldn't-
of metal
couldn't
and
call it
like what,
hardcore.
like Rammstein, it's kind of got a Rammstein-y beat vibe to it, where it's like a repetitive the whole time.
Every single song has the same beats per minute.
But they're good shit. If you're a
But
metalhead,
no, but every
I
song
love
is
that
fucking
album.
awesome. Like,
It's
I haven't
sweet.
heard a
And
single one of their
thank you
songs that
to my Czech Spice for sending me that album. Yeah.
I haven't heard a single song of theirs that isn't good.
It's all kind of the same.
But you could play every single one of their songs back to back, and you wouldn't know when one song ended and the next song started.
Yeah.
It's just it's a progression change. Like they change their chord progression. The tempo exactly
Never
the same.
changes.
It's so fucking consistent,
the
but it's all
guitar,
driving.
the guitar sounds so good though.
Oh yeah, no, dude, they're fucking sick. I love those.
Like
guys.
if you were writing like a horror film or like an action movie or something violent, it's the perfect album to put on to just sit there and stay in this exact frame of mind.
It would be a really good album to like work out to or do
Yeah,
cardio to.
yeah.
Something to march to.
Something that we should start doing
Like,
again like, one day.
Yeah, I need to. I'm just getting
Wrist is
weaker and
broken,
weaker.
my pinky is broken and my shoulders.
You know, the Romans probably would have marched along to something like Godflesh.
They probably
I'm-
played Godflesh
I'm just
while
trying
they
to
attacked.
I'm just
Let's
trying to
in.
get back
Let's
into
go
the story. So
Sorry for the tangent, ladies and gentlemen.
we left off talking about how they charged
Ramp,
up to the
fuck,
charged
we're
up to the
still
top of the
here.
ramp. Yeah, we'll get to the end. Like I said from the beginning, this is going to be kind of a long episode. This is going to be a really long premiere to go through. Also,
Hell yeah.
So
What are we
thank-
at now?
Thank you. I don't know
2
how
hours?
much it's going to be after editing, but yeah, we're
Somewhere around 2?
2 hours.
Sick. I'm okay with that.
So thank you for everybody in the premiere who's stuck it out for this long. I hope we're all having fun at this point.
Yeah, let's do shots.
I'm probably shit-faced at this point because I drink during the premieres.
Cheers.
So the Romans chased the Britons to the walls, prepared to pursue them into the woods, but Caesar called them back. He wasn't about to get caught in another ambush, because that's something that the Britons were consistently doing, is baiting the Romans into ambushes. They were using a lot of hit-and-run tactics.
That's pretty sneaky.
So after they took over the fortress at the top of this hill, they set up their base camp for the night, which, like we talked about before, the Romans would actually build a fortified encampment because they would carry walls with them,
Yeah.
essentially, so they could build up a...
That's so cool.
Yeah, dude, the Romans knew how to fight a fucking war.
Those assholes.
After camping for the night, Caesar received word the next morning that a storm had blown in and damaged almost all of his ships again. He just keeps getting fucked up by the weather.
So he can't leave if he wants.
Well, this time it wasn't as bad. It was like a quarter
You're
of
supposed
his...
to say Caesar and his gold filigree every time.
That's a
forgot till
mouthful.
now.
I'm like
I need this.
I'm about 8 ranch waters deep at this point. I don't think I can pronounce filigree on a regular basis easily. For the following 10 days, Caesar had his army stay at the beach while the ships were repaired, and this gave the British time to regroup and form yet another alliance. So this is what I was talking about earlier in terms of the Romans being good engineers. Over the course of these 10 days while they're repairing their ships, which only a handful of the ships were actually damaged beyond repair, but they were able to take parts from those ships to help repair the other ships. While they were doing that, Caesar just had his army build a fucking wall around. Caesar with his gold filigree armor had his army build a wall around the beach that they were camped out on. So now they just have this fucking wooden wall around the beachhead that they already set up.
Yeah.
So if anybody did try to attack them, they're essentially attacking a fortress.
That's fucking sick.
And the Romans would do this on a really regular basis where they would...
What if he didn't know there was like high tide? And then they trapped themselves.
And they all just fucking
waves.
drowned. That would have ended his second excursion to Britain even sooner.
Yeah, so what stops him this time?
Does anything stop him this time?
What can stop him?
Led by a man named Cassivellaunus, the British set out to force the Romans from their island. Cassivellaunus tries to stop them.
Cassivellaunus?
Cassivellaunus.
What does he look like? If you were to like just quick 3, huge, bulky, fat. No?
Wait, are those
bearded?
The 3 options? Huge, bulky,
No,
or fat?
that's the 3 ways to describe him. All 3 are what he is. Huge, bulky, and fat and hairy.
The way that I pictured Cassivellaunus, I never found any physical descriptions of him, but if I were just to imagine what he looked like, I would say
maybe like Amish from Braveheart.
He'd probably not as big as everybody else around him. Most likely smart, descended from other tribal leaders, because I don't think that they really had royalty at that time over in Britain.
Like a Napoleon type?
Napoleon actually wasn't all that short. Napoleon was like 5'9".
That's short.
It's not tall, but it's
as
not
tall as my mother.
Well, it's not like it's not the way that he's usually portrayed. Napoleon was actually average height for his time, which we'll actually end up doing a series on Napoleon because he was a really fucking interesting character. But yeah, I would say...
Did he have gold filigree? Never mind.
No, I doubt it.
So this dude was like Napoleon.
Napoleon didn't wear armor. He just wore he wore a...
Was he packing?
What?
Short guys sometimes have
dick?
huge knobs, yeah.
Well, he wasn't that short.
5'9" short.
He's not that short.
You're not 5'9", you don't know.
I'm like...
My mom was short.
I'm like
looking.
6'3". So
she's
he's
5'9".
So he's like half a foot shorter than I am.
Half a foot shorter, yeah.
6 inches shorter than me.
What a fucking pussy. No, just kidding.
6 inches is a lot, all right?
There's a lot of really cool short people, like Tom Cruise.
Peter Dinklage.
Probably
the only
Willow.
Peter Dinklage and was his name
Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis. I almost said Patrick Warburton, which Patrick Warburton's actually really tall. He's a friend of my parents, actually.
That's the only ones.
But yeah, I think Warwick Davis and Peter Dinklage are the only 2 other actors shorter than Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was saying, as Caesar repaired his ships, it gave the British time to regroup and form yet another alliance. Led by a man named Cassivellaunus, the British set out to force the Romans from their island. When the Romans began to advance inland once again, they encountered countless hit-and-run attacks by British chariots. Anytime the cavalry attempted to pursue the chariots, they were led into ambushes among the surrounding trees.
Drive-bys.
Yeah, that's the chariots were rushing in to pick fights. They try to kill as many Roman soldiers as they could. No. I know you're
spikes. The spikes on
you're
the wheels.
referring to Gladiator, and no, they didn't have those. I don't know if
that part was cool though when you see the leg get chopped off and the dude falls down.
Doesn't somebody get cut in half by one of those?
Oh, it's cut in half, and then it cuts to Caesar, and he's like, ah.
Yeah.
And he flaps his tongue, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, that was Commodus. He was a Caesar, so yeah, I guess you're correct there.
And he had gold filigree too.
Pretty sure he was wearing
chest
leather armor.
Yeah, but he had gold filigree on his chest plate.
I mean, he had lighter colored pieces to his armor. I don't know if it was actually gold filigree. So the British were launching these hit and run attacks where while Caesar's legions are marching inland, out of the trees, they would just have a rush of chariots come out. They'll be throwing javelins at them, trying to goad the Romans into chasing them. And then once the Romans started chasing them, they'd run back into the woods. And if anybody actually followed them, they would get ambushed by foot soldiers. Anytime the cavalry chased after them, then they would get fucked up. And that's the way that Cassivellaunus was actually trying to win the overall war, was by attrition, just trying to wear him down slowly but surely. Because if they got baited into an actual stand-up, large-scale, set-piece battle, the Romans were going to win for sure. Since they had cavalry and all of their heavy infantry this time, the British really didn't have a chance.
I have a question. Have you thought about, like, if you were the British, or if you had to stop Caesar with their army and set up at the time, like, what would be the tactic to take him down? Like, if you were this guy, this Napoleon dude with the hairy chest.
Cassivellaunus.
Yeah. And you...
Napoleon was
You were
French.
there.
So Napoleon was actually a descendant of the Gauls, technically.
How would you stop him? Like, with what they have and what they know and how scattered they are, how would you stop them?
I would create the perfect mirror, and then as soon as Caesar saw his reflection in the mirror, he would be so distracted that you could just wipe out his entire fucking army.
So there's not a way. There just wasn't a way to stop him.
No. Well, okay, so...
That's a good idea, right? Baiting him over and over and over and over and just always fucking with them. But if you can't throw a spear into a fucking turtle, you got no chance. How would you stop him? Like, if they had somebody that was a genius, is it possible with what they had that they could have stopped him? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
no,
was there a way where they could have won?
I'm trying to think of how they could have actually done that. I think the main thing, they would have needed to have stepped up their ground game, like their
training and shit.
Their ground infantry.
It's too late to train.
Would need to be more cohesive. But if there's no time to actually train and prepare your troops, attrition, because that's actually would almost be
attrition. What is that?
You would need to not only continue the hit and run tactics, but you would have to make sure that you deny Caesar and his army every ounce of food that you possibly could.
Yeah.
Because they only brought a certain amount of food with them, so they constantly had to send out foraging parties. If you make sure that they cannot forage, you defend all of your largest food supplies. Because Caesar actually got a lot of his food by raiding villages.
Right.
If you can go to those villages, get all of the food out of them, bring all your people out of those outlying villages, take any form of food that they have there. Get all these
fucking tribes to do that.
Yeah, you would. Which at the time, the alliance under Cassivellaunus was a lot more organized. Like Cassivellaunus was actually doing a really good job against Caesar, because it's something that we'll get into in the next episode, because it's actually going to be a two-parter. Caesar in Britain is this second trip is going to be a two-parter. Mm-hmm. The way that Cassivellaunus actually started to win is because anytime Caesar would send out foraging parties, that's when Cassivellaunus would send in his chariots to attack the foraging parties, to make it so they couldn't get any food. So they had to rely on their food stores that they had brought with them. So if you can continually deny the army food, eventually they just have to leave. They're either going to starve to death or they have to leave.
Or have to start eating each other.
Or they have to start eating each other. But I think at that point...
Did they ever do that?
Were
they cannibals?
No, I mean, not...
They eat the water boys?
Not officially. I'm pretty sure that cannibalism has been frowned upon for like quite a while in the Western world. But yeah, if I were...
Unless you're James Jameson.
James Jameson was
Episode 13.
He was a fucking psychopath piece of shit. Yeah, I think that was episode 13.
Check it out.
If I had to go again, if I were the British, if I were Cassivellaunus, and I were going against Caesar, then first of all, I think I would have, if possible, fortified any river crossing across the Thames, because the River Thames on the north side of that was Cassivelaunus's home. That comes into play in the next episode.
Okay.
His homeland, not just his home, but where like his people were from. I think that, so you withdraw everybody from all of the outlying villages that you can't realistically defend, pull all of the food from those villages also, go full scorched earth, destroy anything that the Romans could possibly supply themselves with. Anything that they can take from those villages, you either bring it with you or you destroy it. You don't leave anything behind that they can use for themselves.
Yeah.
Pull back into a defensive position and use the River Thames as a barrier.
Defense, yeah.
Make sure that there's nowhere that they can realistically cross that river without getting slaughtered. And then you just wait them out.
Just hold the line.
Because in an open battle, they're not organized and trained enough to square off against the Roman legion.
But they can't stop them either, though. So if the Romans want to go somewhere, they're going to go there, right? So they would have to like build those walls or whatever and have defenses, but then be ready to also split and just keep running from them. They got to kite those motherfuckers until they get tired.
Continue the practices of sending your cavalry after anybody that's out foraging for food, because Caesar eventually pulled any of his foraging parties. He eventually pulled all of them back and conglomerated all of his, I think conglomerated is the right word for that.
Conglomerate. Yeah.
Anyway, he brought all of his
German word.
Brought all of his troops. Is it?
Yeah, conglomerate, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah, sure.
He eventually stopped sending out foraging parties, because anytime the foraging parties would go out, they would get attacked by cavalry. So you would need to keep that up, and you would just have to starve them out. You can't beat them
Caesar would just be like,
battle.
all right, we're just going to send a legion with the fucking foragers. It's going to take a little longer.
He was sending legions out to forage.
Right. Ah, shit, yeah.
So when they go out to forage, it's not like they're going out in organized lines to
It's not like that
fight a
scene
battle.
in
It's
Braveheart
like
when he hunts the
everybody's
deer.
No, they're all just kind of going out and
Spreading out and gathering berries.
and looking for shit, because you're hunting, you're picking berries and different edible plants. You're not really
Roots.
ready for a battle at that point. So that would be when you would want to hit them and
think
do as
there was,
much damage as you could.
Soldiers, when they were gathering food for everybody, if they found like the perfect route and it was shaped the right way, they're like, oh my God, I got to get this to Caesar. Caesar will love this root. And they're all excited, and it's like a powerful root. And then Caesar gets it and is like, congratulations. And he eats the root in front of him, and flips him a gold coin. So,
No,
okay.
not
Okay.
not that I can think of. No.
Well, that's how you go up in rank, right? You please. Like in Mad Max, when witness me, you know, like they're trying to like show off in front of Caesar.
Well, I mean, you would want to show. Well, I don't think you're really going to be showing off in front of Caesar. You're going to be showing off in front of your legates
boss.
or in front of the centurions or something like that.
Or the Triarii.
Well, I mean, even the Triarii would be led by a legate well, they wouldn't be led by a legate. I think they'd be led by a centurion.
Okay.
Or the Primus Pilus, the first spear.
Primus Pilus, yeah.
But yeah, if the Britons actually wanted to defeat Caesar, it would have to be a war of attrition. They would have to just continually fall back and deny him supplies until eventually they ran out of food and everybody got so hungry that they're like, fuck it, let's just get out of here. They're not going to beat him in a stand-up battle. I mean, there's no way.
So
if
they
were as
basically don't
trained,
have a chance, is what you're saying.
If they were as trained as the Roman legion was, if they actually had a standing army, because the Britons were fighting with a militia. Essentially, like it was just, hey, we got to go fight. So anybody who's able to fight, let's go. The Romans, they had a professional army. And
they're fucked.
A militia against a professional army.
So they really didn't have a chance.
Yeah, they didn't have a chance.
That's
But don't
crazy.
spoil the ending. We're almost there. Well, we're almost at the end of part 1 of Caesar in Britain. So, as I was saying, they're marching inland, but they're continually getting hit by these hit and run attacks where chariots would charge out of the woods, throw spears at them, and then whenever anybody chased them, they'd go back into the woods, but anybody who chased them would get led into an ambush.
Yeah.
So eventually Caesar just stopped sending people to chase him. He just gave an order that nobody is going to be chasing the retreating chariots. As soon as they leave, you just reform and keep moving. For hours, the Roman fought off attack after attack before finally stopping in the late afternoon to make camp. And this is still taking place over the course of a day. So this is a couple days after they first landed. So anyway, when Caesar had last encountered the British, they had been a loose coalition of disorganized troops. This time, they were all coordinating under the command of
Cassivellaunus, yeah.
and it showed. While Caesar held back half of his army to continue building their fortifications, the other half fought for their lives against the highly mobile British force. So this is where some of the British tactics really shine. The British chariots fought in disorganized and unpredictable groups. On multiple occasions, they would feign retreat and bait the Romans into pursuing them. As the legionnaires broke formation to chase after them, the British would step down from their chariots, and the Romans would suddenly find themselves facing a solid defensive wall. When the Romans formed ranks to face the line of enemy soldiers, the Brits would climb back into their chariots and begin pelting them with missiles once again, which must have been so fucking frustrating because, so they're all marching along in this, well, at this point they're setting up a camp, but
So were these like surface-to-air missiles or just like spears?
no, ground to ground.
Okay.
Ground to
GTGs.
ground missiles. ICBMs.
Co-
So
Copy.
the chariots would come in and pick a fight with the Roman lines, and then once shit started getting hairy, they would turn around and take off like they were retreating. So the soldiers would naturally start chasing after them, like, oh, we're winning. This is the route, so we're going to chase them down and stab them to death. So they would break ranks, chase after them, and then once the chariots saw that the Romans were chasing after them, they would stop their chariots, step off, and just form a line. So now, instead of facing a bunch of guys that are running away, they're
turn and face 'em.
facing a
Sick.
prepared line. But the Romans aren't prepared at that point. They're all scattered and just
Scattered and-
running them like it was a route.
Yeah, divided up a little.
Already exhausted after a day of marching, the Roman lines began to falter, and eventually the center of their formation broke. Caesar ordered reinforcements forward to hold the line, just barely fighting off the Brits. As the sun finally began to set, the British broke off their attack, leaving behind hundreds, if not thousands, of dead Roman soldiers.
Damn.
It was pretty much just the sun going down that saved them from being overrun that day. I mean, maybe they would have still come out on top, but
It started
by
getting
the
dark.
end of the day, like, yeah, they were already exhausted. They were trying to set up their camp. They almost broke through their center line, the center of their formation. And they were able to hold for a while, but it was, from what I can tell, it was pretty much the sun going down that ended up saving them. It was
I
just
actually
getting too
have
dark
some
to fight.
footage of a similar situation, according to the footage.
Is this
I
this
have-
another undiscovered document?
Yes. I got footage. This was hard to come by, but I found footage of a Roman soldier actually talking about an experience he had when they were getting overrun. And then Caesar
Was this
comes in and saves
this
them.
during the Battle of Sabas?
Yeah, the Sabbath battle. How did you know that?
Fucking Sabas River. Because
Yeah.
that was before that. That was like one of the main. This is when Caesar got down on line with the men. You were able to actually fucking track down.
I told you I would. God bless
I didn't
me,
believe
right?
it, but-
God bless me, right?
I should have known.
You want to see this?
All right, let's see it.
Take everything with a grain of salt. He's a little drunk. I don't know how much he remembers. It seems like this was way later in his life, and he's kind of retelling a story.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, reminiscing a bit, and I think he's drinking Maker's Mark.
Oh yeah, Maker's Mark has been around for at least 2,000 years.
All right, can you see it okay?
Yeah. Yet another reason to tune in on YouTube.
We were pinned down at the Sabas River,
Yeah, you're
Battle
right.
of the Sabbaths.
waiting our slaughter.
Why is he wearing a Spartan helmet?
I'm ashamed to admit I was amongst the men that began to lose hope, lay down our swords, and accept our fate. There was too many of them. They were too strong. And they just kept on coming.
The Belgae, fiercest of the Gauls.
The sky split open, as if God of Thunder himself was displaying his disappointment. It was then. A horse with a man on it that seemed to be 20 feet tall came bursting through the crowd. With his gold filigree armor.
Boom.
It was so shiny.
2 cases.
Blinded me
Caesar had
temporarily.
gold filigree armor.
Blinded him. See, it was a weapon, being that shiny.
Or maybe it was his courage. And that's when I saw. It was Caesar. Caesar himself. He stepped down from his steed and grabbed a sword and shield from a dead soldier and sliced through 30 men like it was a hot, molten blade through butter.
30 men.
Killed 30 men that day.
The most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. The most beautiful man I'd ever seen.
Is that John Bernthal?
He looked at me. Looked right at me with his beautiful, piercing blue eyes. His ocean eyes.
Blue eyes.
He said, "You there. Fight, you fucking pussy." All you pussies, fight with all your might until night.
That rhymed.
And I said, "Hey, that rhymes. You're a wonderful poet." And he said, "Shut the fuck up." Fuck y'all. I goes in.
Apparently Caesar's
And
been
he
saying that
did.
since his 20s.
And we followed. And we were victorious. To Caesar.
Caesar.
To Caesar.
To Caesar. Hey, you guys cool by vaping here?
Uh-oh.
Caesar!
Caesar!
To Caesar.
Okay.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. As always, you can follow us on Instagram at Iconoblast Podcast. You can follow me at Coop Newcomb or follow
Joel R. Benner.
at Joel R. Benner. What?
Gold filigree. That's
Gold,
2 cases.
okay, yeah. So Caesar had gold filigree on his armor.
He did.
According to the first-hand accounts that you were somehow able to track down.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that they had,
Footage?
yeah. Full-blown video cameras back then. I could have sworn
Well,
those
it's not
didn't come
video.
out.
It was film back then. But it was a different kind of film. It's the same shit they made Greek Fire with. It was very flammable.
It was like, well, old school film was really flammable.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, so
That's that's an accurate account of Caesar fighting with his men, so
and I mean,
he actually did.
word for word, all of the language and syntax that he was using, fucking pristine.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, I goes it.
Fuck y'all, I goes in.
Fuck y'all, I goes in. Yeah. Julius Caesar, quote unquote.
So anybody who's listening to this just on audio, you might be a little confused, and that's why you need to tune in to the Drinkin' Bros History channel so you can see exactly what we're looking at and see some honest-to-God footage of a veteran of the Battle of the Sabas River.
Yeah. I wonder he was still alive in this. I wonder if he, like, retired after that or what? Like, why?
I mean, he must.
He was wearing you said he was wearing a Spartan helmet?
It looked like it was a Spartan helmet. Yeah.
So maybe he moved south?
That would be east.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
East of Rome.
Southeast. Southeast.
Primarily east.
Mostly east, but a little south of the border of eastern.
Maybe a little south.
Eastern
Or,
Europe.
most likely what it was is he inherited it from his father, who inherited it from his father and his father back. And at some point when the Romans took over Greece, then yeah, that's where they got it from.
That, yeah. Maybe he killed a soldier and was wearing his helmet out of respect because it was like a long, drawn-out battle that he barely won. We won't know.
Yeah, pretty sure that they weren't wearing those helmets around Caesar's time, so it was probably a family heirloom of some sort. But he was wearing it out of respect.
He was really old, so he could have. So he fought for Caesar and then got the helmet way later in his life.
He looked ancient.
Yeah, like at least 86.
Yeah, that guy must have been at least in his 80s.
Yeah, you could see like the bags under his eyes and like his ugly face. Like he looked ugly as shit, right?
Was that John Bernthal?
I don't know who that is.
Punisher?
Maybe.
Walking Dead? Didn't you hang out with him at one point?
I didn't, but friends of mine did, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were there.
If I was drunk and I don't remember.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, check out the Drinkin' Bros History YouTube channel if you want to see what we're looking at or were looking at just a second ago and see how many cans we have piled up on this fucking table right now.
we did pretty good today.
Yeah, we put a pretty good dent in the Drinkin' Bros stockpile.
Yep.
There's still plenty left in there, so the night is young.
It's always stocked. God bless them.
Yeah. There's a lot of perks with this job.
Do you want some Cochichi chocolate?
There's not actually any chocolate left in there.
Oh, I ate it all. It's like little tongues. It's kitten tongue. That's what I think what that is. Kitten tongue chocolate.
Seen lots of pictures of it at this point.
Do you want to see one get put inside? Never mind. So anyway, let's put these back. You got a serious fucking attitude problem.
Yeah. So anyway, follow us on Instagram. Check out the Drinkin' Bros History YouTube channel. Thank you, Ghostbed, for becoming our very first sponsor ever.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. We got our first sponsor.
I hope we made you proud.
We're probably gonna get canceled after our first. We just get it and we're gonna lose it. Yeah. Well, we weren't that bad. We were mellow.
At the beginning of the episode, towards the end, like I said,
they're not gonna listen to all this.
I went through a lot of ranch water on this episode. Thank you, Ranch Water, for making a very good drink. So anyway, check out all the other shows on Drinkin' Bros, American Party Podcast, Softcore History, our brothers in arms on the Drinkin' Bros History channel.
Yeah, we got to get one of those boys on our show. Come on.
Yeah, we're gonna start setting that up. I
just talk to him. We got to get Rob on here, or Handsome Dan.
I want to do a Drinkin' Bros History Super Show.
That'd be sick. Get us all together.
Me, you, Jake Goldman, Handsome Dan, Hot Bob, all together. Yeah, also, if so we're, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be
Mayweather, please.
Yeah, I know that you want to do Mayweather, and I'm very glad to talk shit about Mayweather, the fucking illiterate, wife-beating piece of shit that he is.
Let's break him down. Let's
Floyd Mayweather.
Reveal everything about him.
But if any of our listeners have any topics that they want us to talk about, we're looking to diversify a little bit, I guess you could say. So if there's anything in particular that you want to hear about, I've got a couple episodes lined up that I plan on doing.
Yeah.
But if somebody's got a good idea,
we should start making a list. We should figure out like a.
I've got a
like a list where like the people that listen to the show can easily go somewhere and write down a topic, maybe just on our Instagram or something.
Yeah,
we should make a post. We should make a post or something that says, "What do you want? What topics you guys want to hear?" And then we'll start doing them. That'd be cool.
Yeah, or anybody that's watching the premiere right now, the premiere on YouTube. Go ahead and just
write it in the chat.
There's something in particular that you want to see. I know that Desmond Doss is a recommendation that we got, but I'm still trying to get Dakota Meyer on the show for that one.
Okay, that'd be cool.
But aside from that, that's it for this episode. I'm going to go home and play some video games.
Dude, that's a good idea.
It's a very good idea.
This is a 2-hour show. This is going to probably be 2 hours.
Fuck, at least. Son of a bitch. That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for joining us.
Wait, hold on. Before you go. So Julius Caesar, we're still going to do Julius Caesar, right? We're going to continue the story. It's just going to be the bonus episodes. So we're going to do one-offs or two-parters or three-parters, and then... But Julius Caesar was still... We're not going to... We're not giving up on Julius.
No. We are still going to continue the story of Julius Caesar. It's just going to be on...
We just got to do other topics because we have more episodes on Julius Caesar than our total episodes now.
Anything else? This is episode 12 of Julius Caesar.
That's fucking
and we
crazy.
have 26 episodes total at this point. So, we need to diversify a little bit.
Yeah.
So...
I know you're obsessed with Julius, but it's time to... We'll keep talking about him, but we got to start talking about other people.
I would go for another 20 episodes on Julius Caesar.
And you're going to. That's the thing.
Yes, but it's going to be spaced out a little bit more. We're going to be doing some other episodes. So
hopefully we can get one in every couple of weeks, or maybe, depending on schedules, maybe you can get a couple in 1 week.
Yeah.
That's what's cool about the bonus episodes is they can come out anytime. We don't have to stick to a schedule.
Yeah.
They just come out when we can. And they might be audio only sometimes. But we want to continue the story.
Yeah, we definitely do want to continue the story because, like I said, all the shit up until now, we're just building up to the point of Julius Caesar's life that I wanted to talk about. But we were advised to diversify the topics that we're talking about, so we're going to diversify a little bit more.
I think we should too.
I think that it's a good idea also because the majority of our back catalog at this point is Julius Caesar. We talk about more than just Roman history. Or at least we plan on talking about more than Roman history.
We're going to try to.
Yeah.
If we can get you to pull away from... It's just, you just like men with blue eyes, red curly hair, and skirts.
And gold filigree.
Yeah.
And gold filigree just makes me so fucking hard.
I'm going to get you a gold filigree Iconoblast t-shirt. I promise.
All right, so anyway, that's it for this episode. Tune in next week when we talk about God knows what. I haven't even figured out what the topic is yet. My name is Matt Cooper.
Joel Banner.
Reminding you to never take anything at face value.